everybody, and welcome back to Signed the Traitors. We are a Traitors US recap podcast brought to you by Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. I am your host, Katie, and I am here once again with my lovely traitorous or faithful co-hosts, Carrie and Javier. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited to talk about these episodes because I think episode 8 was my favorite episode of the season yet. But yeah, it was good. I'm very excited, but I'm doing well also.
Good. How about you, Carrie?
I am good. I am going to try my best. I got a few messages that I was a South Pole elf on the last podcast that I had a couple rants. South Pole elf, the North Pole elves are happy because they're up there with Santa Claus. South Pole elves are angry.
Who called you an angry elf?
No one called me an angry elf per se. I just summarized myself as that. But I guess I'm either gonna take one of two routes. I'm here to be jovial today because I don't have the hood channeling my inner traitor. My hair is free. It's bobbing around up there. Or we're just gonna double down. So we'll see. We'll see how the conversation goes.
We're anything but silent. That's what you get when you come to Silent Podcasts. We have rants here and there.
I fully agree. Just say what's on your chest.
Yes. And there's plenty to rant about in this show. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I said. That's like one of the biggest issues I have with podcasting. No, I remember about 10% of what I say on these things.
Well, let's see how many rants we can muster up tonight. We're talking about episodes 7 and 8. We pick up on a cliffhanger on episode 7. Do you guys want to share any broad thoughts before we jump into the specifics of some of these episodes?
Yeah, I want to jump off of what Javier just said, which is as I have mentioned multiple times, I have muted anyone who even remotely came close to Traitors, right? And last night was it last night? Yeah, because we podcast yesterday. So last night when I was watching these episodes, especially episode 8, it was really the first time where I was like, I wish I could tweet right now. Not that I couldn't tweet, but like if I'm going to be such a bitch on the timeline about not tweeting about Twitter or about Traitors, then like I should follow up in my own actions. And it just really like reiterated how much I wish the show was airing in a pattern where we could have discourse about it, because episode 8 especially was one that I would have loved to see the jokes coming along.
Yes, I think there are plenty of jokes to be had. Episode 8. I'm excited to talk about episode 8. Episode 8 was a fun episode. I feel like not that it necessarily changed the trajectory of the show, but like it gave us a little bit more to work with. So I'm excited to get to that point. So let's talk about episode 7 really quickly. And I mean, not really quickly. We could spend an adequate amount of time on it, but then we'll jump into episode 8, which I think is where we are meaty. So we pick up actually at the round table from what we were talking about the other day, yesterday, where Cody is saying, so where do you see a traitor? Which I can't believe that this is where we're at, because it feels like we talked about this so long ago, but it really was only yesterday. And Suri does say that she's basing her vote on people she feels like are faithfuls, and she's voting with them. And she really doesn't give him a concrete answer here, but as we come to see, she does end up voting for Cody with Christian. But before we get there, we have a lot of back and forth here, and some of these votes are truly wild to me. So Rachel votes for Cody, and she does say that she wishes she and Cody could have worked together and not against each other. And this just like is another thing that just drives me crazy, because I'm like, why do you need to work with Cody? We shouldn't be like coming and thinking about it this way. And this is what has been driving me crazy this whole time, and why I just really prefer a non-celebrity cast of people who don't know each other.
Yes. I mean, we've said it once, we'll say it again. It's just another example of we understand the reasoning behind this casting to get people intrigued by it. However, the gameplay suffers because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's frustrating.
I do agree with that point as well. It is definitely a little annoying. But I will say, because I feel like I just want to say, because at the end of the last podcast, I was like, I'm so excited to watch episode 7 to see what Cerise says. And I'm not going to lie, I was not happy with what Cerise said.
No,
I was like, what kind of answer is that? Like, to me, the moment she said, I'm going to vote for who I think I should vote for, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, I'm sorry, Cerise said nothing in that statement.
It was a lot. It was like a mishmash of words that didn't actually say anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. So I was like, really, Suri, you let me down there. But I mean, the fact that she could say that, by the way, and no one like, I would find that sus if it were me. Like, what do you mean? You don't think it's Rachel, you don't think it's Kate, so you must think it's Cody. Like, either say it or she should have
Yeah.
not said that at all. I just thought that was a weird thing to say. And for me, if I were in the game, I would be like, where were you going with this? You know? So I thought that was a little bizarre for her to like not say a name when she made it seem like she was gonna say a name. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think if people were thinking clearly in this show, which a lot of people I don't believe are, they could have just said, like, Suri, why didn't you want to say Cody's name? Is it because you're also a traitor?
Thank you, Katie. Literally. Thank you.
Like that they have no proof of anything at this point other than what Kyle said about Cody. That's really the only thing they're working with right now. So it just seems interesting that especially Suri would change, not necessarily change her vote, but vote for Cody after not like saying Cody's name and then not specifically saying Cody's name. But listen, Suri has these people in her pocket, in her front pocket, in her back pocket, wrapped around her every single one of her fingers. I mean, how many times throughout these 2 episodes did we get multiple people saying like, it's not Suri. I know it's not Suri. No matter what, it's not Suri. Which is just like, why? Why are you all saying that? Why are you saying that? It's just wild. It's very interesting. Naomi says that Suri is an expert in the saying stuff but really saying nothing category. And Adrian says Suri's amazing at giving reasons on voting someone out, but if someone else does the same thing, they would be called bull on that. And it's so true. Like, she really is just so good at this. Carrie has a wild situation happening in her house right now, and it's really entertaining, and I'm loving it. So if you're watching the YouTube video, we're getting a full show here. It's great. Hi, Lavelle.
I literally go, I'm podcasting, because he was whistling to Nitro as he came downstairs. And then he decides to run in because apparently I'm podcasting right now. Did not get the message across. So you want to come back on? You want to say something?
I love it.
We got a live audience. Okay, bye. Sorry.
No, it's amazing. So Quentin votes for Kate, which is like, what? And says Cody has never been on his radar and is taking him at his word for all of the reasons he laid out and doesn't think it's him. And I just wrote a huge LMAO on my notes here because, like, what is wrong with Quentin? Carrie, can you still defend your man? No, listen, I will make you defend him because you started to defend him, and I want to see if you still can.
I did it yesterday out of feeling obligated, and now I'm just being bullied to defend him. So
I will bully you like this cast is bullying Kate into defending this man that you stood by for 2 podcasts in a row.
You did.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I do believe that more people should be bullied. So bring it on.
It's true. You did have a very pro-bullying stance.
Yeah, I am
yesterday.
Pro-bullying.
Yeah.
So here's how I'll defend Quentin. That's all I got. I don't have anything.
Okay, so you're out. You're out on Quentin. You don't feel like his logic makes sense anymore.
It just is kind of crazy to me that if you are so wrong so many times in a row, how you do not take a step back and be like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem here. And I mean, given he's not the only one that needs to do that.
No, I was going to say, like, to be fair, everybody on this season is loud and wrong. They should change the name of this show to Loud and Wrong for the US.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was, because like if we're going to sit here and give Quentin shit, then like, where's Andy's, right?
We will be giving Andy shit, but
I was dragging them both. Yes,
but Andy had some reads. Like, Andy did vote for Cody, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Andy voted for Cody, and then in the next episode, we do hear Andy put a little suspicion on Christian, which is like that's a good read. It's right. So Andy's right more than Quentin is right.
Yeah. I don't know. Quentin is loud and wrong, but I cannot get over Andy's approach to what is a game and being so
we'll
insulted
talk about this.
by that. So I just have like a general level of annoyance with the two of them. And again, Peacock, listen, I could point you in the direction of easily 30 people who could have done better than this. And so like
1,000%.
What are we looking for here? Did you want to bring on people who are just going to get steamrolled by reality TV stars. Like
Mhm.
what's the oh, I don't know. I said I was gonna take one of two routes here, and I guess I'm going South Pole Elf. What the fuck? Quentin just and then like laying down his whole life for Cody too. Like, I never doubted you once, man. Blah blah. And then like their embrace, I don't know. All of it just
I would like to
understand
talk
why
about
he's still
these
in the game.
embraces.
He's Meryl. Like he's the Meryl.
Yeah,
of
we have
this.
a cast of Meryls here.
Yeah,
A
we
cast full
truly
of
do.
Meryls. Okay, so those are really the two. Cerie says when she's voting that sometimes you have to depend on your team to steer you in the right direction, and that's why she voted for Cody. And I'm curious if you guys took that as a dig, not a dig, but like just a hint of like this was Christian.
Say that one more
I
time.
read that to me like she was saying I depended on my team to steer me in the right direction, meaning like Christian steered me to this vote.
Oh.
That's kind of what I took from her, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm reading into this statement.
I just took it as she was afraid to say Cody's name in the chance that Cody didn't have the majority of the votes, and then she had to go up to the Traitor Tower with him that night. Yeah. And it's like it's like, well, I wasn't sure when I was doing that. Like when I was actually leaning towards writing down like Kate's name or something, but then it felt like the majority, like I feel like it kind of gave her some wiggle room if she needed it later on.
Mm-hmm. Well, Cody's out, sobbing all the way out the door.
We got out the cauliflower. Let's go. Best elimination of the season.
Well,
Ooh,
this is the
so
first time
excited.
Cody's ever been voted out.
Yep, actually, you're right.
Yeah, because he came in second place in Big Brother 16, and he won Big Brother All Star. So this is the first time Cody has been eliminated from a game, and he was crying. I mean, listen, I give him credit. I think he had a very graceful exit, which maybe we don't see from our other Big Brother player friend who got eliminated. But we'll talk about it. So I think Cody, I think was pretty graceful in the way that he went out. He was a good sport. He wasn't angry. He gave Cerie her crown and her flowers in his confessional, and said that she's showing future traitors how to play this game, and she's playing it perfectly. What did you guys think about Cody's exit?
First of all, I thought it was very dramatic again. He goes like, I have this burden and this weight off my shoulder. I'm like, bro, you're playing a game. You didn't actually murder any of these people. Everyone is alive and well. Relax. Like, you're playing a freaking game, dude. But I mean, again,
It's debatable for Amanda. The Traitors actually gave Amanda COVID, but everybody
We
else
still
is
don't know
probably
what happened to
fine.
Amanda. Yeah.
We're waiting on that Instagram post.
Yeah,
yes,
still
we
waiting,
need the
Amanda.
real tea. But yeah, no, I was very. If I had a soundboard right now, I'd play like fireworks and like boom, 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 boom. Like, let's party, let's celebrate. This was a great episode for me seeing Cody gone.
I love how passionate you are about Cody being gone. It's really making my night, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I put a side note here in my notes is that I hate the goodbyes that they say here. Like, just they should have to walk out the door. That's what happened on the UK. They just walked out the door. They didn't give hugs and like all this other stuff. They just left. And I'm just tired of seeing these people like hugging and stuff. I don't know.
Hugging doesn't even describe the level of embrace that happened between Cody and Quentin. Where did that come from? Was it because of what Quentin said at the round table?
I have no
Otherwise,
idea.
I didn't know that they were borderline lovers. I had no idea.
I don't know. Cody seems like he made a lot of relationships with the faithfuls, like how he was hugging Angelica from behind and like comforting her. I was like, damn, this guy's like besties with all of these civilians here.
I texted Katie and was like, I will say, Cody, the way Cody left in his confessionals, I appreciated because, like Katie said, he was very complimentary of Cerie and even Christian. He's like, Christian's a bro, and I know he like didn't want to do this, but he had to do this.
Although Christian was pretty giddy back when they got into the turret. He was like, yeah, we did it. And Cerie was like, well, I mean, that was sad. And he was like, oh yeah, that was sad.
Yes.
He has like scary energy to me, but whatever.
I mean, I don't think I would ever be friends with Christian.
No,
So-
of course not.
But yeah, I will say I appreciate the way he went out in terms of his confessionals. And I am looking forward to the soft launch of Quentin and Cody's relationship.
Yes, same. Same. Naomi says Christian should have been on the mole.
Don't ruin my favorite TV show like that,
Followed
Naomi.
up with, so I would have had to see him much less.
Ah.
Um, so one thing I did note is that so Cody's our first traitor who's been eliminated, and the only reason he's out is really because of the two other traitors. Like these faithful, I'm not giving the faithfuls any credit here for this. Stephanie, I'll give credit. She was pushing Cody. This was her first real correct read of the season. But yeah, I mean, I don't think without Suri and Christian, I don't know that Cody gets eliminated here. If they vote Rachel, there's probably enough votes to get Rachel out because Shelby voted Rachel, Kate voted Rachel. So, I mean,
I would just
don't
like
know. I
to
just think
note
it's
that we're
interesting.
16 minutes into this podcast and just mentioning Kate for the first time, which is wild in regards to the rest of the podcast we've done.
That might be a
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to talk about Kate plenty because there's a lot to say. After the roundtable, Kate, Rachel, and Angelica are still on trial. One will be murdered overnight. And now Stephanie and Ari start to push Shelby's name because Shelby at the roundtable is not having as big of a reaction that everybody expects her to have. What do you guys think about this?
I think that, I mean, again, I feel like it's like a dumb reason because these faithfuls look for dumb reasons to get people out. But like, I'm not gonna lie, on Shelby's part, I do think that she should have thought a bit more about that and should have been a bit more of an actress. Like, even if, because she is a faithful, so I don't understand why she's not a bit more excited.
Yeah.
I mean, later on in the episode, we get some explanation about like longing for her daughter, missing her daughter, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I get that. But like at the end of the day, you got to remember always you're playing a game. So, and this is what people are basing their moves on. So you have to be like a little like, oh, like, you know, like celebrate a little girl, smile at least. She was like unfazed. Like it was so crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think in these moments, you really need to be on.
Yeah.
Even if you're off for the rest of the time, like at the roundtables, at the breakfasts, like at the missions, those are the moments where like you really need to be on. But I hated this for Shelby because we really didn't get to see much of Shelby this season. I feel like she was there, but we didn't really get a lot of confessionals from her. And now we finally start to hear from her. And it's just because everybody's throwing her name out as a potential traitor, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I wish that she tried to like fit in a bit more with in the moments that she needed to, especially the reaction. Like you have to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Simply because if you're not, you are giving everybody a very, very easy reason to call you out. And it's unfortunate that happened. But I mean, we're going to talk about it soon. She was given advice by the best player in this game on how to better her situation and still didn't take it. So like, I feel bad that Shelby got to the point where she felt so like down and out. But if you're not going to bring it at this point in the game, then what are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's unfortunate because I think obviously there's different ways to play this, right? Like Kate is very much not mirroring the energy that other people are putting out, and that's putting her on the outs, but the traitors want to keep her there, and for some reason we still don't really know, she's not getting the votes to be eliminated because I think through time people are starting to use their brains and say like Kate's obviously not a traitor, but still Rachel and Stephanie keep wanting to push Kate, and Quentin keep wanting to push Kate's name, but everybody else is like, let's just actually try and get a traitor out. Whereas Shelby, I think, is not mirroring everybody's energy, but she's being really quiet in the sense of like she's not like actively participate. Like I just think, you know, you have to, in some of those moments, like the way you see other people acting in games like this, you just have to like just mirror what they're giving you, and then you'll fit in a little better. But Shelby was just not feeling it, which is fine. I mean, you know, everybody deals with things differently, and you don't know how these games are going to take a toll on you.
Wasn't it LeBron James that told Kevin Love to stop fitting out? He has to fit in. Like I felt like that would have fit for Shelby here. Given I'm not defending LeBron James saying this about Kevin Love. It's just what made me think of it back in the day when they were all Cleveland Cavaliers together. But sorry to bring sports into your reality TV. Sorry for that overlap in the Venn diagram.
It's all right. Basketball's not my wheelhouse, so I have no comment on that. The one other thing I wanted to say about this after the roundtable is that Andy says that they're all blinded by the personal connections they're
Yes.
making and they have to
Right.
take it for what it is. And I just wrote with like 5 question marks after it because I'm like, Andy, you were blinded by your personal relationships. You literally in this episode or the next episode or whatever are like, it's 100% not Suri. Like, Andy is the poster child of being blinded by their personal relationships. I just like I do not understand. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how you can say all the right things in a confessional and play a completely different game.
Yep. And no, same thing. I wrote that in my notes too. I was like, please, Andy. Like 2 episodes ago, we were dragging Rachel for being a cutthroat player, for thinking it's game, and now Andy's saying take away the emotional aspect. I was like, this is just weird energy. Like, come on, Andy. And then
Very
we see
weird.
episode 8 where Andy is like beyond their wits with emotion. So
Yeah, yeah. It's tough look for Andy. At the murder, there's not really they don't really do too much. This is one of the most uneventful murders, but they already kind of know who they're gonna have to murder. They have a choice of 3. The only thing I wrote here is that Christian seems almost giddy about getting rid of Cody, but they do end up murdering Angelica, which I think is kind of the obvious choice here.
Yep,
I,
absolutely.
I just want to take this opportunity because episode 7 is the last time I will say anything positive about Christian, because episode 8 he's on my shit list. But yes, I really like. I'm gonna give Christian another props because I like that energy. Like he's really enjoying this traitor aspect in this episode, and I like like because we talked about this previously. Like Cody was like all these emotions and blah blah blah. Like I hate doing this, and I like that Christian is like, ooh, this is fun. Like because I feel like I would have a little bit of that energy if I were playing these kind of games. Like I'd want to be like winning and be like manipulating, doing all those things. So I will say I like that moment of Christian. But this probably might be the last time I say anything positive about Christian the rest of this podcast. So
Completely understandable, and I support that. We get to breakfast. Kate is the first one in the room. She's just like, oh, great, I'm still here. Where's everyone else? Can I lock the door behind them? Like, she just doesn't want to be there. Christian, I think, is the next person in, or someone is the next person in, and they're like, oh, Kate, it's another day in hell for you. And she's like, yep, sure is. Like, she just very clearly does not want to be there. Suri makes a comment that she's not sure if the person that they chose to murder has a shield or not. But Ari just outed it and was just like, I have the shield.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not even like a question mark of who's going to be murdered and who's not going to be murdered. She says in her confessional that they gambled and they hit the jackpot, and Angelica's the one that's murdered. This is a very uneventful breakfast outside of this. Any other thoughts about breakfast? Probably the most uneventful breakfast of the season, I think. Sorry to Angelica.
The only thing I will say is I liked Kate gave me another great line. She says, I'd rather be banished by these people so I can look them in the eye. And I fully agree. That's how I would want to go out. Do not murder me. Like if you're gonna send me out, do it to my face. Do not murder me. So I did like when Kate said that. So that was like the only highlight for me of this breakfast.
Yeah, that was good. Naomi asks a question of have we talked about the strategy of sacrificing one of the traitors to keep the target off your traitor back? We talked about it a little bit, but not like, I don't feel like we went super in depth about it, but it feels like now is probably a good time to get an opinion on what you guys think about this strategy of Suri and Christian cutting Cody. Do you think it was the right time for the traitors to turn on each other? Do you think Cody was the right traitor to turn on? Do you think this is a good strategy, or should they, all 3 of them try to go to the end together?
No, absolutely. This is the right thing to do. Bye, Cody. See you. I think I had mentioned it yesterday that it was the absolute right place for Suri, especially to solidify the trust that she has with everybody and vote out a traitor, because at this point, who is looking at Suri as a traitor?
Nobody.
Right. And I mean, Christian as well, it definitely helps him until he decides to open his stupid dumb mouth. But no, I said it yesterday. I remember giving a big old arm movement of like, let's go Suri, bring home the win for my draft team. So yeah, I think that the strategy is going to inevitably play out, I think, in every single season of the show that happens, in every single country that it happens in, because it has to. Otherwise, I think it becomes a little bit too weird when it's like, oh, why are these 3 people or 4 people, whatever. Why is their name not coming up? Why
Yeah.
haven't they been murdered? And I'm actually surprised that no one's really asking that about Suri right now, because like,
Mhm.
why hasn't she been? Like, to me it makes more sense why Christian hasn't been murdered, because he doesn't shut up. So like, he's in a way a shield, but not as much as like Kate or Rachel or whatever. But what Suri, like, why hasn't anybody questioned why she's still alive?
Right.
So if it's all 3 of them, I just think, yeah, you have to get rid of one in order to be able to build some trust up with the faithfuls.
I'm just gonna say the only thing I really have to say is that yeah, it was definitely the right move. The moment Cody threw his own game away. What was it, 2 episodes ago when he told
Mhm.
Ari the weird thing, whatever he said about
Mhm.
Kyle. Like the moment he said that, I was like, they have to get him out. And that's the same thing we see in episode 8. The moment Christian opens his big ass mouth, you just have to get them out. You can't work with someone who's literally throwing themselves under the bus. You know, like it's not good for your game. So I
Yeah.
definitely think it was the time for Cody to go.
Yeah, I agree with you guys completely. I think as soon as one of the traitors makes some kind of a mistake, whether it's a Cody mistake or a Christian mistake, and there's traction against this person as a traitor, it's silly for you to not sacrifice one of your own to save yourself. Because again, at the end of the day, like, do you really want all 3 traitors at the end with you and then have to kind of, like, all split the money? Like, no, not really. And you definitely don't want to keep these people who around you are a liability. And I think you want to be on the right side of a vote when a traitor gets out, because that just gets suspicion off your back. Like, why in this scenario would Suri have ever said like, oh, I don't think it's Cody, I think it's Rachel? Like, Rachel had Suri's back 100%. And it's only a matter of time before Cody makes the first move against Christian or Suri. So you want to be the first one to really do that. And I think Naomi also in the chat makes a really good point, is that you need to give the faithful group one victory so they get distracted. They needed a win here. They needed a win, because I think they really would have started eating each other alive if they didn't get one traitor out. And I'm sure Suri and Christian could feel that energy in the room with them too. So I don't know. I think it's always the right move. Yeah, I don't. Well, we're not talking about the UK, but I think it really is 99.9% of the time the right move to do this. After breakfast, Shelby is having a rough time. She's sitting outside. She's by herself. She's kind of isolating. She's missing her daughter. She's feeling out of the loop today. And as we see Shelby kind of sitting by herself on the porch, Ari and Stephanie and Quentin and basically everybody in the house, aside from Kate and Suri, to an extent, are pushing Shelby's name. And Ari even says it's like she's depressed and she's out of it. And I'm like, dude, maybe she's just like homesick. I don't know. That felt like a really shitty reason to just be like, yeah, let's vote her. She's a traitor. Look at how depressed she is. She's got to be a traitor. Which, if you're equating it to gameplay, yeah, okay, maybe you're depressed that one of your other, maybe you're bummed out that one of your other traitors is out. But like, I don't know. It seems like a stretch to me a little bit. But I do think her reaction at the round table really didn't help her the night before. But he thinks that this means she's holding a secret. And Suri's feeling bad for Shelby. Suri wants to go talk to her and give her a pep talk and just say like, listen, you got to get it together. And this is a game. And I know you're missing your kids. And when I was on Survivor, my youngest was only 5. Adrian calls this out, and I think this is spot on. They love this convo with Suri and Shelby, and it gave her and Michaela's convo back in Game Changers, and I totally agree. Suri had a very similar conversation with Michaela in Game Changers, and just like a really nice bonding moment. What did you guys think about this?
Oh yeah, I thought that was genius. I was like, this is why everyone loves Suri. Literally everyone in this house loves Suri, and this is why. And like I said, I haven't seen Suri Survivor seasons, but if this is the gameplay she plays in all these kind of games, this is why she's so good at them, because this is how you win. Like, I know Big Brother, I don't really know Survivor, but this is how you win Big Brother too. Like, you got to be there emotionally for people. That's what people remember. So I mean, that was Suri is literally, like Cody said, a master class in how to play this game. Like, this is how you play it. So I thought that was a great idea on her part.
Yeah, I'm glad they showed this, because I don't feel like we've been getting enough of the relationship building that's clearly going on in this house that Suri is doing so masterfully. Because right now it just makes everybody look like a total idiot, right? We're like, oh, Quentin is so dumb, and Andy is saying they're blinded by the personal relationships, but look at their relationship with Suri. But like, we do get to see a really good example of Suri having a really great connecting moment with Shelby. And like, clearly this is happening throughout this season and we're just not seeing it on the show. And I think it's kind of doing a little bit of disservice to Suri's game overall, because right now I think we're pointing the finger at people not thinking about Suri because they're just bad at the game. But I think it really is just that Suri is really good at the game and she's making really good connections and relationships with these people.
I also am willing to bet that this isn't like, I think it's actually probably more of a personal move than a game move for Suri, in that, like, here is a younger Black woman who is a single mom who's like just wrapping up a divorce, who misses her kid. Like, Suri has experienced some of the same things in terms of being on reality TV, and to see this other Black woman like on the outs and also like not really doing anything to help themselves in this instance, and knowing like, at least I'm gonna try to help her. And like, obviously there's great game benefits that come from what this conversation happening, but I have a feeling that it isn't just that. And if anything, I would even go so far to guess that I know Suri like really likes Andy and feels that like, but we saw that Suri said my relationship with them is because everybody loves Andy, and like being close to Andy is going to build me trust, where like I think giving Shelby that encouragement, those words of advice, is really just like strong Black woman looking out for another Black woman in this game who isn't going through it as well as she is, and just being like a good person. So obviously there's great benefits to it, but I think when I watched it, I was like, this is more like human to human than player to player to me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It
No,
didn't seem
I
like
agree.
he was looking for the benefits like she was in a relationship with Andy.
Agreed.
Yeah, and even Suri's relationship with Andy, I think that was like really early on that we got that confessional from Suri. But I think that Andy and Suri really do have a great bond, and I'm not really seeing it as much with Quentin. But I just think there's obviously these conversations that are going on in the house that are leading to bonding, and whether it's a game move from Suri or personal, I think a lot of it is personal, and I think she's making really genuine relationships with all of these people just because she's just great at this. It's helping her, whether it's purposeful or not. And I think especially with these inexperienced players, it's helping her, but also with the more experienced players, because Stephanie, Rachel, none of these people, not one of these people, they're all convinced that it could not be Suri. So I just think she's just a masterful social player besides, strategy, because she's an amazing strategic player. But I think her social game is right up there with her strategic game, because look at all of these relationships.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So, it's unfortunate, I think, for Shelby. I really do hate to see this, because I just think it's a bummer that Shelby was so under edited. And then the one episode that we do get to know her a little bit, she's saying that she's here for a reason. She wants to, build her life back up after her divorce and bring something home for her kids. And it's kind of like, the writing is on the wall. The edit is a little heavy handed here. And then we even get like Shelby going down into this beautiful courtyard area, which we haven't seen much of up until now, sitting with Kate, and Stephanie's like, look at her, she's sitting with Kate. And I'm just like, this is just so petty. A lot of this episode is talking about a clique and Shelby and Kate being on the outside of the clique, and that really is just what it feels like. It feels like they all got together before the mission even happened. They decided Shelby's the vote, and that's what they're all doing. And Kate calls it out at the round table as well, but it's frustrating. Like, it's kind of frustrating to watch. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. I just am not surprised by it at this point. I mean, we saw how Kate and Brandy were treated, and I mean, especially Kate. And obviously, I feel like people are like less likely to feel bad for Kate because Kate will defend herself. Kate will speak her mind, and yeah, and like she's gonna rub people the wrong way. But nonetheless, like she's definitely on the outskirts where Shelby seems to have deserved it a lot less than Kate has.
Mhm.
And so you can, I mean, like Ari called Kate a cancer to the group, right? And so to then, at least for me, to say that like you're equating Shelby with Kate is like rude.
Right.
Because what has Shelby done to you besides not bring the same energy
Right.
that you all have?
Yeah, and then to just like target her to the point where it just comes out and saying like, look at her sitting over there with Kate. Like, could it be more obvious? It's like, dude. And Adrian says in the chat, like, that courtyard part is where they were like, really? Can you all just let two people have a normal private convo? And that's like exactly what it feels like was happening there. Like maybe they were talking game. I didn't take a note on exactly what they were talking about, but you know, I appreciated Kate here for being like, clearly the vote's going to be me or Shelby. I would rather it be Shelby. I would rather be me than Shelby. Like, keep Shelby here over me. Clear, you know, whatever. She probably has more to play for at the end of the day. Unfortunately, they didn't listen, but it just, I don't know. This gave me the ick a little bit, the way that this whole thing played out. I wrote in my notes too, like everyone in this house is kind of a bully. And it's just like passive bullying. It's not like, you know, I mean, some of it is
No
more
one's
targeted
getting a
towards
swirly.
Kate. Yeah, no one's getting a swirly. No one's getting pushed in a locker. But like, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I can understand how easy it could be to be on the outside of this group here that's forming. We get to the mission. Alan Cumming is like a lot. He's just like screaming throughout the castle, which I was like, what is happening here? And this to me is the worst mission so far of the season.
Which one is it?
Oh
This
yeah,
is like the
one was
spot the
terrible.
difference mission
Oh,
where they're
yeah,
in
yeah.
the billiard room and they're like, the ghosts came and changed everything, and they have to figure out, they get a chance to observe the room, and then the lights go off, something changes, they have to find 3 items that changed.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I hated the challenge also because it's not like there's like 10 things or 15 things that you need to focus on. You have to focus on like 80 objects. Like you
Yeah.
have to know. So this is a I agree, very poorly designed challenge.
Yeah,
I have
and it was
nothing else
boring
to
to
say
watch.
about it.
It
Yeah,
was
I
it was
just-
boring to watch.
I'm ready to speed by.
Yeah, there was no opportunity to even like strategize at all. They were broken up into 3 teams. It was just boring, very boring.
The only thing I will say is that of course Brandy got she got a moment of shine again, and she got a line. She was the only one to get a line from all of the people who were murdered.
Yep.
No, Reza
Brandy
and
Oh yes,
Is
Reza
that
got one
something?
too.
and Cody did too. Yeah, each group got someone like coming back from the dead speaking to them.
Oh right. Okay. Yes, Cody.
But
did.
they just really didn't like make too much of a point of it for the other two, where Kate
Oh.
was like, yep, here it is, even Brandy defending me from the dead or
Yeah,
whatever it was.
yeah.
And she picked up the Brandy picture, which
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like,
one
this
of the other
changed.
people commented like, "Of course you're gonna pick the Brandy." Picture,
I think it was
which I thought
Stephanie,
funny.
maybe, which I
Yeah.
just thought was so funny because they're just trashing Kate for being bad at this mission, but Stephanie like was very bad. She like walked away from her whole section. It was like, nope, nothing over here changed.
Everyone was bad at this
Everybody,
mission.
every team only got 1. They all tied. So, or did one team get 0? I don't know, but at least
one
2
team got
teams.
0 and the other 2 teams got 1.
Yes.
So-
Shelby was the one that found the hat. I think had changed, and because Ari, Quentin, and Christian's team also got 1, tied with Kate's team, they spotted the difference first
Yes.
and completed it more quickly, so they got a chance to go into the armory for the shield. What are we thinking about the armory and the shield stuff so far? Is this like making a mark on you at all?
I was trying to figure out a way that I could put Ari into armory. You know, like, oh, we should just call it the Ari Marie at
Yeah.
this point, because like why is anybody else going in there? Ari is undefeated at
Yes.
finding the shield.
Undefeated 3 in a row.
Yeah,
As
I
we
mean,
find out the next episode.
yeah, he's like he's the luckiest man. Like maybe he might win actually and we see what happens in episode 8. He might win because this man has amazing luck to get 3 in a row. Like, what are the chances? You know?
I know.
I mean, we could do the math.
No permutations. I don't want no math.
It's not even permutation. It's literally just multiplication. It's 1 over 27.
Oh gosh. Okay. While Carrie does that, I'll keep.
Yeah.
I just did it.
Okay. There you go.
There's a 3.7% chance of that happening.
very small. You see?
Yeah.
Very small.
For
Very
more
small.
math tutoring, I only charge $40 to $60 an hour.
That's
DM me.
affordable.
Yeah, I
That's
am an
affordable.
affordable tutor.
Yeah.
So hit me up.
Okay, so yeah, Ari gets a shield. Nothing here again. I mean, they agree once again to not tell anybody who gets the shield. And after the mission, we still get that, that little section prior to the round table. And Shelby is talking to Andy, I believe. Oh, no, she's not. She's talking to, I think, Stephanie and Kate, and says it is clear that there are alliances and no one is going to vote out anyone who's in this clique, and no one's going to vote for people that they really like in the house. And I like that Shelby called this out because it really is becoming a little bit of a popularity contest. Like, people aren't playing strategically. They're just playing based on who they like the most. And Stephanie's like, well, if you can give me a reason to vote someone out, like, I would be open to it. And here Stephanie kind of spills to Shelby and Kate that Suri is upset that she was not chosen to be a traitor. And Shelby's like, oh, really? And Stephanie's like, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, that was another moment where like I was like, wait, Suri said that, which I think is not a great thing to say, but she still comes out unscathed from that statement.
Like, completely.
Like, these people are just baffling to me that you can say something like that, and because that's similar to if I don't know, in my mind, that's similar to what Christian says in episode 8, which I agree was a terrible move. Probably not as bad as that, but still, like Cerise saying she wished she was a traitor. That's basically, and Christian saying in episode 8 what he said about like he got recruited. Like, I feel like what Cerise said is also should be a little bit more incriminating than it was. And even for Stephanie, who's like Team Cerise down. Like, Stephanie has like zero eyes for Cerise, even hearing that statement, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think that it should be a big deal that someone wanted to be a traitor and they weren't one. I mean, it's part of, obviously there's traitors in the game. And so I think especially someone like Stephanie who knows Suri and knowing that like, oh, there's going to be like a level of gameplay that comes with being a traitor. And like, I wish I got that experience, but I don't, I'm a faithful. And like, I don't understand why that should automatically be like, oh my God, go get her. Like, especially if it was back at the beginning of the game when like her actions have been that aligned with like the faithfuls. I don't know. I don't think that it's that like incriminating. I mean, I think Christians is far more incriminating.
Yeah, I think Christians is definitely worse.
Because it was just unnecessary when we didn't even hear Cerise say that. Like,
True.
I want to know if Suri actually did say this or if Stephanie was just saying that she said this to get like heat off of Suri, maybe. I mean, I have no idea. It just seems, I can understand in a game where you really don't have a lot to go off of, and then you hear that someone said like, oh, I wish I was a traitor. And it's like, well, maybe they are a traitor and they're just saying that to make us think they're not a traitor. Like, anything can kind of like tip you off, but it just seems like Suri is so well insulated. She has Rachel and Stephanie on one side. She has Andy, Quentin, Shelby, all these other people. So it's like the second that anyone brings something up, the first person that these people go to is Suri. Andy gets the information, goes right to Suri. Stephanie finds the note falling out of Kate's skirt and goes right to Suri. Who is the traitor? Like, maybe the worst person, one of the 3 worst people that she could have picked in the room. Like, if she went to Rachel, it would have been a little bit different, but she went to Suri. I mean, granted, they didn't use that really to frame Kate, but it could have gone in a completely different direction. And it's just like Suri is right insulated right there. Yeah. So Shelby's woken up here a little bit. Outside, she's talking to Andy, and she's saying no one's throwing out Suri because everybody loves Suri. And finally, I'm like, not that I'm rooting against Suri at all, but I'm just like, finally someone's saying something. Like, it's just wild that there's just nobody looking at Suri whatsoever. And especially as like a Survivor fan, I feel like you just have to know that they would make Suri a traitor. She would be such an amazing traitor. Like, just knowing who she is, I'd be like, of course they're going to make Suri a traitor. Just like, of course they're making Cody a traitor. I would have probably assumed Rachel was a traitor as well. But Andy's like, what? And is just completely mind blown that Suri wants to have fun playing this game as a traitor, and then takes it right to Suri.
Gosh,
and Suri's
Andy
like,
playing
no.
the rat game. Ugh, I was so annoyed when Andy did that. I was like, what kind of rat gameplay is this, bro?
I don't even care that they did that. I care that, like, why they care. That, oh my God.
Why do they care?
why do you
That's
care
true.
that someone is viewing this as a game? Like, yeah, it's not like you're playing, I don't know, Monopoly with it, or like, you know, something that's not for some money. Yes, it is definitely an elevated game. There is a cash prize at the end. There is a benefit to winning, but at the end of the day, it's still a TV show and a game. It's not like these people are actually getting murdered. It is not as, I don't know, and I don't want to defend Rachel, but how people use that against her as well. Like, she annoyed the fuck out of me, but I don't think that she deserved at least the reasoning against her. Come
Yeah.
up with better reasoning than
Yep.
people playing this game like it's a game. Because what do you want them to play it like? Real life? Like, why weren't there funerals after every murder then? I mean, Alan was just throwing picture frames of these people around. Like,
Yeah, so disrespectful of the dead. These
Yeah,
people weren't just
truly.
murdered.
they're on a plane home right now. So how dare we be so disrespectful? I don't know. I didn't care as much that Andy went and told Suri. To me, it's like, okay, you see Suri as your ally. That makes sense to me. Especially if Suri found out that Andy knew this and Andy didn't say something, like that could have also became an issue. So I understand Andy going. I just don't care. I don't get why Andy cares that people are like, what? This is just a game to you? Like, you
Yeah.
what? Like, just shut up.
Andy is the biggest perpetrator of this throughout these 2 episodes, is like they are just personally offended by the fact that someone says that this is a game, which, like, newsflash, Andy, this is a game for money at the end. And I don't know what you're doing here, but it's not playing the game. That's for sure. And it's definitely not trying to win this money. And I'm fine with Andy bringing this to Suri, but I really, truly wish this was at the round table. So everybody could have had a chance to have the same information and then make an informed decision. Obviously, they're not going to do that because Suri is their ally. But if you're so mind blown by this information, like, why don't you just take a second, digest it, think about it, and then bring it to the round table?
That's what I'm saying. That's literally how I feel about it, because these people go off nothing to target people. And I don't know. I still feel like what Cerise said was not the best thing to say. Do I think it's the most incriminating thing ever? No. But I just wouldn't say that in a game like this, you know? And I
Right.
feel like if we go off nothing, at least Cerise gave you like crumbs to go off. And then I could understand if people targeted Cerise because of that statement. Do I think it's the best reason to target someone for? No. But it's a reason, better than all of the other reasons these people have been using prior to it. And that's just how I feel about the comment. Like, I just feel like Andy should have held it off, and then we could have had a really, well, we still had a pretty good roundtable time. We could have an even better roundtable discussion. And, you know, and even though I'm rooting for the Traitors, and I hopefully Suri wins, but like, this is still a game. I still want to see good gameplay, and I just
Yeah.
don't think what Andy's doing was good gameplay.
No, it was not at all. But Javier, it's not a game to Andy. I don't know what it is, but it's clearly not a game, because God forbid you say that this is just a game and Andy takes personal offense.
But okay, I gotta push back here. I don't think it was that bad of gameplay, especially with Suri, because look at what Suri said when Kyle wouldn't give her all the information. Like, oh, you're gonna tell me a little bit, but not tell me enough. So like, you don't trust me. And so if Suri finds out at the round table, gets through the round table, that Andy was holding this, like someone who is supposed to be one of their closest allies, I don't think that ends up well for Andy. And I think that this is, to me, at least in my perception, that Andy sees Suri as their number one. Because they've said, like, as long as Suri's here, I am good.
Yeah.
So are you withholding this key piece of information against someone you believe to be 100% faithful, your number one ally? I don't think that Andy did anything wrong I don't think it was bad gameplay. I just, again, like I said, the reasoning that they care so much is perplexing to me. But if that's my number one, you need to trust one person in this game, and like, yeah, you're trusting the wrong person, that's on you. But I don't think that it's the worst thing. I don't think it was bad gameplay. I think that that's reasonable gameplay. Just, of course, like, because your number one is a traitor. That's why it looks like this.
I think you're giving Andy more credit than Andy deserves here. I don't think
I will
Andy's thinking about it. I know you're defending these faithfuls, and I don't understand.
It's not defending the faithful. It's just the fact that, like, I don't know. how do you not give your number one the information?
But I just don't think,
I think
that
that's
Andy
so
was looking at
damning.
it that way. I think Andy was like, I am personally offended by this, and I need to ask Suri right now and find out, because there's no way that Suri would do that, because I know Suri doesn't look at this as just a game, just like I look at this as not just a game. And if it was built in strategy, then I wish we got a confessional of Andy expressing that, because like all I want is to understand why some of these people are moving the way that they are. And I think you can probably assume that maybe that's why Andy did that, but nothing that Andy has done so far throughout this season and within this episode and the next episode give me any inclination that they're playing this game whatsoever with any hint of strategy. It's all personal. Everything that Andy is doing and how they're moving is all personal, and it's based completely on personal relationships.
And I also feel
We
like
get a shred of strategy at the end of episode 8, and that's it. And that's
Yeah.
it.
the only other thing I want to say is Suri is a lot of people's number ones. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Stephanie's number one is Suri, and Stephanie started this rumor.
Yep.
So the fact that I feel like Andy just holding up. I don't know. I don't know. If you're looking for traitors and someone says something that's even slightly traitorish, even if it's they're my number one, you should still hold some info back. I feel like if I play these games, I'm gonna hold something back to help me win
Yes.
this game, because you really cannot trust anyone. So I don't know. I just feel like Andy should have just waited a little bit longer to share that information.
And I
This is
also
the-
don't think there's any benefit at all for, even if Andy doesn't tell Suri right away, like Kyle already had suspicion on him, and that was an easy reason for Suri to vote out Kyle at that round table. He was going no matter what, but I don't think that there's any world where Andy starts to get suspicion on them, and I don't think it makes sense for Suri to vote out Andy or murder Andy either way. Maybe murder, but why? This person believes 100% that you are faithful and has no hint whatsoever that you might not be. Like, it wouldn't make sense to murder them. So I just don't feel like there's any downside at this point to not sharing it with Suri until the round table. And it comes out anyway. Like Shelby says it at the round table.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's pretty hilarious that Suri totally denies this, and Andy is just like, okay, cool. Okay, yeah, no, that's what I figured. That's why I don't think there's any strategy in this whatsoever, because Andy would have been like, well, Suri did deny it to me, but I do think like maybe there's something to this, and they did immediately throw Stephanie under the bus. But no, Andy's like, cool, I just wanted to check with you, because like I knew you would want to be a traitor, so like, I just wanted to check. Yeah, I don't know what's up with Stephanie. It's just like, what is happening here? What's going on?
I believe in number ones. I believe in ride or dies. I watch The Challenge. I watch Heather Gay. I'm
Oh,
a
God.
big.
Well, we
I'm a
saw what
big
happened with
rider
Heather
guy.
Gay and her number one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we do get to the banishment. Suri kicks it off, and she addresses us. She's like, you can hear it from me, myself, and I. I am not upset that I'm not a traitor. I am not a traitor. I'm a faithful. Like, this is it. And Stephanie is like, well, I was joking when I said that. I'm like, no, you fucking weren't joking. And this, I don't understand how it doesn't. This is what gets me. How are people not saying like, well, Stephanie, why would you say that? Why would you say that unless you're trying to throw Suri under the bus? Why would you start planting seeds unless you're a traitor? No, for some reason, it just stays on Shelby for really no reason whatsoever.
I don't have anything to say.
It's just,
Yeah, I agree though. Again, this is another moment of these faithfuls being faithfuls. Like the moment where I don't know, in my brain, when someone's, this was a moment where someone said something that should bring suspicion. And if now people have suspicion for Stephanie, then I'd be like, okay, this makes sense to me logically, game wise.
right.
So the fact that they didn't is just another moment where I'm like, I don't know how these people are playing this game, like what they're basing their besides
Yeah.
emotions,
Totally. And I felt for Shelby here, because Rachel is like, how can you convince me that you're not a traitor? And Shelby's like, I can't. Just the same way Geraldine couldn't, the same way Michael couldn't, the same way Kyle couldn't. Like, there's nothing I can say to you that will make me think I'm not a traitor, because you're not even giving a reason why you think I am a traitor, other than like I didn't have an emotion at the table. Like, and they had a great excuse or great reasoning as to, why they voted for Rachel, because they were like, yeah, Cody didn't manipulate me. These are all things that I had already said to Cody. Like, maybe he took what I was saying. This is just like a mob mentality at this point at this table. And they're voting Shelby, and that's it. The decision's made before they even sit down.
Yeah, I don't think that this was there's not much like we need to say besides what's been said. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of strategy happening here, and it is what it is.
Yep. It is.
I do think the one thing that's funny is when Kate showed her board, she wrote her name
Yeah.
down first, which I
Yep.
thought was hilarious. Like she really is throwing in the towel at this.
Kate was done. Kate's
Yeah.
like, just keep Shelby here. Like, I don't even want to be here.
Exactly.
Keep Shelby here. I just love that she wrote her own name down. I
Yeah.
wonder if she tried to vote for herself and if Alan was like, no, you can't do that. So
can't.
she like erased it and had to revote. Like, I just wonder
Oh,
if that actually happened.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
Probably.
because they definitely have to look at their votes ahead of time to
Yeah.
like have them reveal them in the most suspenseful order.
Yeah.
So there's no way someone wasn't like, I
You
wish
can't do that.
they go out loud like, Kate, you can't vote for
Yes,
yourself.
Kate, you cannot vote for yourself.
Kate, that's not how you spell Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I think gives me the most like cringe energy at these roundtables is how they're all like, well, Kate, you're a traitor and you're doing an amazing job. And we're like, way to go, traitor. Shelby, you're doing so great at being a traitor. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing because you've gotten all of these wrong, but yet you're sitting here being like, you're just doing a great job. You're such a good traitor.
This really didn't happen until this roundtable. It's like they caught one, so now they think they know who like all of them are, and how complimentary of the faithful who they think is a traitor. Yeah. I noticed that as well.
You're
It's like,
you're doing an amazing
it's
job.
so,
as a
very
traitor.
presumptuous to think that you're right, but okay.
Yeah, like you just happened to strike at one, but like every other time you've been totally wrong, but you're really like standing strong, being like, you're doing a great job as a traitor. It's like, actually, I'm a faithful and you're an idiot. And surprise, Shelby's faithful. She stands up there, tells everybody, and then everybody feels this overwhelming sense of guilt. Overwhelming sense of guilt that they all met up during the day, made this big plan to get rid of Shelby. Shelby's so depressed. Look at Shelby. She's so weird and sad all by herself. Let's vote her out tonight. They vote her out. Guess what? She's a faithful just like everybody else except for Cody. And now they all feel just guilty and they're all like, you know, even Sari, I think, is the only genuine one who was crying and was like, "I'm sorry, Shelby," because she didn't want to do that. She wanted Shelby to put herself out there and do a little better, and so that she could swing the votes, and it just didn't happen.
I think I don't know, this is to me really funny, but like when people get eliminated, they do or when anyone on reality TV does like a job reveal where she's like, "All right, guys, so I lied to you all. I work in PR."
Yes,
When people do that on reality TV,
everyone's like,
yeah, literally. It's like in Big Brother, I think 18, one of the players comes out as a mathematician. And it was just so, I forgot her name. Bronte was her name. Bronte.
Yeah,
being
oh, yeah,
18.
yeah.
And like whenever anyone like comes out with their job, I'm like, like, what is this? I just
Who
thought it was
cares?
hilarious. Everyone like gasping and, oh my God, this is so crazy. Okay, like what's the big deal here? So I thought that was very funny because I love when they do that on reality TV.
I know. I always feel like people lie about their jobs for truly no reason. Like no one
Yeah.
actually cares. I mean, maybe a lawyer or something I get, but like I don't know. It's just so funny. We see the guilt train continue. Everybody's outside. Kate is sitting out there with Ari, Quentin, a couple other people. Rachel comes out, sits down, and they're all just like, I feel so bad. And Kate's like, why? Because you voted out a single mom who was a faithful and not a traitor, just because like you all got together, because she wasn't part of the clique. And Rachel's like, that's not what it was, Kate. And she's like, that's what it felt like to me. And she's like, and I can guarantee you that's what it felt like for Shelby. And that's when Ari is like, whatever. You're like literally a cancer to this group. And she's like, oh, I'm a cancer? And what about the traitors who are lying to your face and taking all your money? Like that, they are not the cancers of the group. It's me. Like, and then they just get up and they walk away. They leave her sitting there. And she's like, was it something I said?
All I have to say is that that was a little, I don't know, that's a little shady of Kate to like stress the fact that you sent home the single mother. You know, she kind of used that to make them feel bad. I don't like that she used that.
Yeah.
But it was still funny at the end of the day because like literally everyone, even Ari, who like has been like pretty like tame throughout, is just so sick of her. To see him like actually get mad, I thought was like, wow, these people are really breaking over Kate. They cannot do it anymore.
Yeah, no, they can't. They cannot. Anything else after the bench? I think this is really all that's notable that happens. We get up to the murder turret and they're chatting about who to murder next. And then knock, knock, knock. Alan's here. And it's time. Time for a new traitor. And
I
that's where
hate
we end.
this. I hate this.
Tell me why.
Because why the fuck do they need a third traitor when there's like 8 people left? Why didn't they recruit the night Cody died?
Yep.
2,
Yeah.
why do like the numbers right now? It does not make sense. I mean, this show is setting up for the traitors to win, given like it's fun to root for the traitors, but not when it's set up for them to win. Like make it a fair and even fight. And this isn't it. And I understand that there is the opportunity for the person they recruit to say no. However, assuming they say yes to bring in a third person this late into the game, to me is completely unfair. And when I saw this happen, I was perplexed, annoyed, and I'm going to bring in Adrian here. I was annoyed by this too when it happened on Australia, when they brought in the second recruit. So this is not isolated. Just in terms of numbers, I get it's called the Traitors, so maybe we want like the main character to, win the game. But to me, this seems like too much. And I was very annoyed when I saw this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, but in the first recruit in the UK, and this isn't a spoiler, we won't say who it is, but obviously recruiting happens throughout these shows. They were given the option to murder someone or recruit someone, right? And they chose to recruit. So
yes,
give them the option to at least murder someone, but don't force them to recruit a third traitor, especially when there's 2 traitors left. You're right. So late in the game, we find out in this episode when Quentin and Stephanie are talking about how it's definitely Shelby and it's definitely Kate. They only have 2 days left to get rid of both of them, and they have to strike correctly. So you're bringing in a third traitor with 2 days left in the game when they haven't even gotten one traitor out without the help of the other 2 traitors. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for me. And I just don't. There should have been. I don't know. They could have recruited another traitor earlier while Cody was still there. Like they said, it's between 2 and 5 traitors. That's the game that, that's the rules that they were explained. So like, why not let us see 4 traitors and see who turns on who, or if the traitors make an alliance with each other, 2 versus 2, like give us something interesting. But I agree with you, Carrie. It's way too late. It's way too late.
I would have accepted it more. I still probably would have been annoyed by it. But if it had happened the night Cody was murdered or banished, when he was caught, that would make sense to me. But to wait a whole nother round and get another, so what, we had another murder, another banishment, and then sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I don't think it's fair. And not that these games are meant to be fair and we want to create compelling television, but to bring in a third right now is too much.
Agreed.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree. This was it was an interesting choice. I don't know why they didn't do it the night that Cody was eliminated. It was a little weird for sure. But we start episode 8 and we pick up right where we left off. Suri wants to recruit someone who wants to be a traitor and wants to make sure that they're not blowing up their game. Kate is a definite no. She's a shield. She can't be a traitor. Andy and Quentin will both say no. I would truly love to see Quentin as a traitor, though.
Oh my God.
What a mess. I would have loved it. I wish they recruited Quentin because it just would have been comedy. Christian is like,
to put the hood on, correct? Like, I don't trust that to have gone well.
What a 180 Carrie has done on Quentin. I'm glad that you landed here. I
felt forced to defend him last time, and I was able to at least come up with some arguments, but I can't.
Yeah, no, he's rough. Christian is like, ooh, Ari. And then Cerise is like, yeah, Ari's inconsequential, which was pretty funny to say. Like, honestly, like he is actually. We see Ari get the note and then he kind of like wrestles with the decision. And I kind of liked to see like that we got a chance to watch him talk it out. And I like that he sees being the traitor as an advantage because clearly it's an advantage and there's 2 days left in the game and he's joining this other group that's pretty well established. And I'm glad that he saw it that way. And Christian and Suri are just convinced he's going to say no. And they think when they hear the knock on the door that it's going to be Alan, and surprise, it's Ari. And he said yes. And he's like giddy. They're all just like, what? Like they're surprised to see him. He's surprised to see them. It's just like such a weird, like, oh my God, what's happening moment. Now we have Ari.
I don't think there was any other choice besides Ari because Ari had some decent reads on situations, maybe not necessarily who was responsible for the actions or like what he was seeing,
Mhm.
but we saw a few times where he was making sense of the trader's logic.
Yeah.
And so I think that this was their best choice.
Mhm.
And I do appreciate that he said yes, because um, I don't think Ari would have done anything with the information if he had said no. I don't
Yeah.
know if he would have brought it up. And so at least we're getting a like, okay, I don't like that he said yes because we're adding another trader, but because like, all right, if we have to add another trader,
Yeah.
I'm glad that he did, and to see how this mixes things up a little bit.
Yeah, agreed. And Christy is saying that she liked Ari and Suri's friendship throughout and thought he was the second best trader. I agree. I think he was definitely by far the second best trader, including Cody. I think Cody was probably the worst trader, and then Christian is the second. Although this episode, Christian ties with Cody for being pretty bad. But Ari, I think you're right, Carrie. More strategic than I thought. I think he's probably the person I was most impressed by throughout the season outside of Kyle, like who we came in with low expectations of, because everybody else
Agreed.
is just like throwing things at the wall. Even the people that I think we were having decent expectations of, like a Cody or a Rachel or a Stephanie, like they're not really performing that great either. So like Ari, I think is the most level-headed one of all of them, especially out of who's left. So I was happy to see Ari join. If we had to have another trader, I'm glad it was Ari. And I agree. I think he's really the only choice here.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like at the end of episode 7, I was like, if I were in their shoes, I'd be racking my brain because I don't know who I would recruit either. But yeah, thinking about it, and like, and honestly, Sari put it best when she said, Ari's inconsequential, and that's who you want to recruit, right? You don't want to recruit a Kate. You don't want to recruit someone who's already
Yep.
giving you drama like Rachel. So yeah, you might as well recruit someone who hasn't really made waves in the game yet, and who seems to have decent, at least, yeah, like you said, like a level-headed and decent reads throughout the series. So why not recruit them as a trader?
Yeah. Yeah.
The best part of Ari being recruited as a trader, and this is where I would love to see all of the series improve, and we've mentioned it before, is we get a trader reveal and we get to see their reaction. Ari's reaction to seeing that it's Suri and Christian who have been the traders the whole time is one of the most fun moments of this
Yeah.
whole entire series so far. And I wish we got to see like the people who got banished or murdered finding out who the traders were, just to
Yeah.
that'd be fun. That would absolutely be fun. And so the fact that this might be the only time until the season finale that we're going to see a reaction from one of the players about who the traders are, to me is probably like top 3 moments so far of this series.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason why at the point where they're getting murdered, they can't just write the traitors like parentheses, Sari, Cody, and Christian. Like, why not let us see them? They're reading the note in the confessional booth. It's not like they're going to the breakfast and finding out who it is, you
Yeah.
know? Like, they're separated now at this point. There's no reason. But I agree with you. I totally agree. And that's the one thing I feel like we're missing because we never get to see the murdered people find out who the traitors are. Like, that, there's never a reveal there for us that we get to see. No murder tonight though, which is interesting. What did you think about this? No murder.
I mean, I think then the traders would have, it would be a big the advantage, because then they would have recruited Ari and killed someone. Then they would have had like 3 out of what, 8 votes or 7 votes. It just that would have been insane if they also got to murder someone. Like it's then I would scream rigged. Like this is already a little bit rigged, but if they got to murder and recruit, just the rigging would be too much for me.
Yeah, totally.
I also
fair.
wonder if Amanda's departure had anything to do with
That's true.
maybe the like later recruitment or the non-murder, because it made sense with the like, if you've watched the other series, you knew the trial was happening. That's happened in all of them. So that wasn't really a surprise, but obviously Amanda leaving was. So maybe that also plays into some of this. But
That's true. That's a
Javier's
good point.
point makes sense of like, yeah, if you let the 3 of them murder someone.
Well, even now
It's
having 3
nearly
traitors,
impossible.
3 votes on one side, it's a huge advantage. That's a huge swing.
But it's also an advantage to turn like on another traitor, because at this point, and I obviously don't know Suri's financial situation. She's been on Survivor quite a few times. I don't know Christian's financial situation, but he lives in a van, so like I'm not left to assume because your rent doesn't exist. So like you're saving
True.
a lot more money than I am, right?
True.
And then Ari is like real estate and the son of like a famous race car driver, right? So if it's normal people, the
Ari has money.
traders, if it's normal people, the traders are thinking like, oh shit, well if I get rid of one of them, my money is increasing by a lot. Because right now, if you're a trader, aren't you thinking like there's no way we don't win? I can afford to cut at least one more of these and definitely increase the amount of money that I'm going to get. So having 3 traders is a great place to increase the finances that you're going to get in 2 episodes. Because I'm assuming the traders win. If they don't, that is like the 28-3 of 28-3, like Super
well, now
Bowl.
it's what 27 and 0.
Yeah, that was also crazy. But I don't see a Trevor Lawrence in the faithfuls here.
No, even though I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan, as we've discussed. But yeah, I agree. So we get to breakfast. Christian is the second person in with Kate. And then he immediately is like, who do you think got murdered? Do you think it was Suri?
Literally.
What about Ari? And I'm like, what is wrong with this fucking dude? Like, why? Just don't say anything. Why are you saying their names? Just say nothing.
I was waiting for him to be like, do you think they murdered me? Just
yeah,
to,
like, what about me? Do you think I'm murdered?
In with the rest of the traders, he's already named off.
Well, he basically does in like 5 minutes. I mean, the fact that this guy, I don't understand. But as soon as he said it, I was like, what is wrong with this man? Like, why are you speaking? Just say like, who do you think it is? And then just say nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Adrian says, shut up, Christian, in all caps. And I agree. Shut up, Christian. Shut up. What is wrong with you?
I also wrote in my notes, STFU, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I do not understand the logic behind this man. Kate, though, much better mood today. Yes. For some reason. She's like happy to see people. Even Andy, we get a confessional of like, well, Kate's happy to see us today, which like, I'll take that. And Kate's like hugging people and is like, what can I get you? Can I get you some fruit? Why do we think there's a sudden mood swing change from Kate?
She got laid.
I think she can win. Oh.
By who?
Wow, carry in my brain.
Whoa.
It was the ghost that was in the last
the ghost game.
Yeah, the ghost that came back and rearranged the hidden objects or whatever. I don't know, maybe she had like a fuck it. They're clearly not going to get rid of me. Yeah. So there's only a couple days left.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. She was like, I have
let's
a chance
enjoy
to win, well.
a croissant. Or maybe like her and a producer hooking up. Because Kate's pregnant, so Kate is in pregnant. Real life, maybe it happened at the Scottish castle. I'm solving crimes out here. Shit.
Crimes. I hope it was a crime. I hope it was consensual.
I was kind of thinking more like I was Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen who would say like solving crime before dinner time. Like, you know, any problem I solve is a crime at this point. Just for the hyperbole of it all.
Totally fair. Totally fair.
Not a real crime.
To Kate, by the way.
Yeah. Glad you got laid at the Scottish castle. Hope it was great.
Perhaps.
Her baby Rachel is a traitor.
Their baby's a traitor.
I'm done. I swear I'm done.
Well, Kate drops some info about Rachel to Andy and some other folks and says that Rachel got defensive when Kate said that the traitors were greedy liars. And Rachel was like, that's not true. It's just a game. And once again, Andy's like, oh?
How dare you?
What do you mean a game? This is a game? And Andy's like, forget it. This is it. Andy's now convinced Rachel's a traitor. I do not understand why it is so offensive to Andy that people can separate the fact that this is a game versus not. But like, for some reason, this is what they hang on to. And I do not understand it.
Bad gameplay.
Bad gameplay.
Yeah. Further.
Well, I guess, does Andy have gameplay? Or is this just life play? Because, like, it's not a game. So, this is just life play.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, I actually, even though Andy's very bad at this, I like them. And they seem like a cool hang. Like, yes. Andy seems like a very cool person. And, like, someone that I would be friends with. Yes. But they just do not know how to play this game. Whereas Quentin, I don't know that I could be in a room with Quentin for more than 5 minutes without being like, you can, like, actually just stop talking. Because, like, everything you're saying is wrong. Andy, I think, is just not thinking about this strategically at all. Because when they do... They've been right more than Quentin. Let's just say that. We'll say that they've voted correctly at least once or twice. Like we'll give Andy their props at least a little bit, a little tiny bit.
Andy, the personality hire of this season
Exactly,
of the Traitors.
exactly. Kate, Rachel walks in and Kate goes, "Oh, I'm so relieved," and then she says, "See, I can be an actor too," which I just was like, this is so wild to me. And Rachel and Kate are just going back and forth with each other at this breakfast. Rachel's like, "Oh, did you get your cloak dry cleaned?" And she's like, "No, I kept all the stains from the people that I murdered." And they're just having like this banter. And Quentin gives us a confessional of like, Kate and Rachel just openly fight with each other all the time. And Rachel and Cody fought with each other all the time. So it must be Kate and Rachel. I'm like, every episode this guy says a different combination of the incorrect names, and I just like, I can't believe it that he just didn't even happen to like strike on a name that was right. He said every name except for a name that was correct.
Literally, this man is
I would like to
insufferable.
argue that it's not a different combination because it's always Kate. So
Well, it's always like Kate and Kyle, Kate
Yeah.
and Shelby, Kate
Okay.
and Rachel, Kate and this other person. And I'm like, you're so wrong. Like, you're wrong 100%. You're 100% wrong. It's so frustrating. Everybody thinks Stephanie is murdered because Ari walks in. He's the last one to walk in. And Ari, I thought, was doing a good job. He kept up appearances pretty well. His behavior seemed to stay completely the same. And then, surprise, Stephanie's here. No one's murdered.
Ooh.
They think that they struck at Ari and Ari had the shield, which is a perfect cover of like, yeah, I guess they tried to murder me and like I had the shield so they couldn't do it. Wow, I almost got murdered. But then Christian opens his goddamn mouth and he's like, guys, I have to tell you something. They tried to recruit me last night. Like, I got a letter, it had a wax stamp on it, and like I said no, but like I just had to tell you guys that they wanted to recruit me as a traitor, and I said no. Did you not see what happened to Cody when he opened his mouth and he did not need to? Did you not see it? What? Also, to not tell Suri and Ari that you're going to do this and just spring it on them at the breakfast. Like, what are you thinking? Do you think Suri is going to take this well? And Ari, who it's his first day as the traitor, and you're pulling this? Like, I just don't understand why you would think that these two wouldn't then like team up against you because you're a wild card.
Well, it even more so compromises Ari, in my opinion, because no one had to know that a recruitment happened. We don't know if Alan would have told them. So now, not only does Ari have to focus on not changing his demeanor from how he's acted as a faithful to now being a traitor, but also like the fact that people may or may not expect, because we didn't really hear much conversation though of like, oh, did they actually recruit someone? Like,
well, yeah,
because they don't know if Christian's lying or whatever, but there's not a lot of follow through of like, well, if Christian's lying, do we think he's lying and he knows that someone got recruited because he's a traitor, then like who actually got recruited, which I don't think in like a well casted series would have been too far of a leap to get to, but we're in the US where they downplay all of our intelligence as well as the cast, but whatever. If you haven't watched UK or Australia, you should. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I felt for Ari to like, that was a very weird situation to be put in without your consent because he was recruited. And so now this kind of like blows the cover that he had.
Yeah, this is a terrible move. But before we talk more about it, Adrian has a great question of Christian saying he was recruited unnecessarily or Eric giving up his immunity.
One's been memed a lot more than the other, so I honestly don't even remember.
Justice for Eric.
I don't remember it happening. I know it did. My superpower is watching
Suri.
An episode or a season of reality TV and then forgetting everything that happened in it. So I know I watched it. I just don't remember the context of it all. But
Javier, it's an incredible season of Survivor with Suri and Parvati and a few other really exciting and fun players. Fans versus favorites, and some great moves. And Suri is the star. Definitely highly recommend it. So yeah, I mean, Ari and Suri are completely shocked. Suri tells us in a confessional that he's cringeworthy and has horrible acting. Stephanie immediately clocks him for lying. She immediately thinks he's lying. And Rachel is like, is he telling the truth, or like, is he just trying to throw us off? You're right, though, Carrie. They definitely didn't make the logical jump that, like, oh, then someone else, if he's lying, there's a chance that someone else was recruited, or there was a recruitment, or something happened. But they're like, he's either a traitor and he's lying to cover himself, or he said yes and just wants us to think he's faithful. But the discussion is really around, like, this is shady and weird from Christian, basically. And I just truly don't understand the logic here, because nobody knew that this recruitment was happening. There's no reason to bring it up unless Alan brings it up, and then you could be like, listen, it was me. I said no. I just didn't want to say anything because I knew you guys would be suspicious. Baffling. Just baffling.
I mean, y'all, this was literally the worst move of the worst move of the freaking season by far. The fact that he didn't, like you said, talk to Suri or Ari beforehand, because they would. I know Suri would have walked him off the plank. Suri would have been like, "No, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
To then have, because as I feel like in the last podcast, I feel like Christian was making an upward trajectory now. Like 1 through 4, I was like, Christian sucks. And then episodes 5 and 6, I was like, he's annoying, but he's playing the game a little better. And then now he just went plummeted. He's a 0, like, and he's on my draft, so I feel personally attacked because. And now he just ruins his game completely. It was just such a terrible play. And unfortunately, I think this is what's going to sink Stephanie's game, who's my last draft pick. So this just really hurt me because my draft is like taking big hits with this terrible move by Christian. It's just so frustrating. So frustrating to see this move. Like, and I feel like he didn't even give us a good confessional to, like, I don't know how he can defend this move, but he didn't at all even try to defend the move to the fan, to like the audience, you know?
Well, no, because he owned it pretty quickly. Like, that was stupid. So at least in his defense, he didn't try to justify it. He had the moment of like, I said it, I thought it was a big move, and then immediately realized that was dumb.
Which is exactly how Cody felt. Mm-hmm. Exactly how Cody felt.
And you would think that, right? Because he kind of, at least the show made it seem like he led the Cody, like, let's get Cody out. So he would think he saw Cody make a similar mistake. He wouldn't make it because the same thing's gonna happen to you, brother. So
yeah, it's the overconfidence. Yeah, I do not know what this guy's thinking. After breakfast, you know, I think this. You mentioned like it's gonna tank Stephanie's game. I think this is this just sets off a chain reaction, because now, in addition to what Kate put out there about Rachel and Stephanie are like, this is weird. This is weird. They're talking to Ari about it. And Ari, of course, doesn't really know what to do right now. Like, I can't fault Ari because he just became a traitor literally the night before. He can't immediately turn on his other traitor. Like, how are you going to do that? You don't really know what the relationship between him and Suri is. You probably haven't had a chance to talk to Suri and say, like, are we going to, like, do this? Like, what was he thinking? Did you know he was going to do this? So he has to be like, I don't know. I kind of trust Christian. And then it's like he feeds Christian all this information that these people now are questioning him and coming for him because of the move that he made in the morning. So it, unfortunately, Rachel, for once this season, was right, and Stephanie was right for the second time this season, and it just tanks their games completely because now Ari is a late recruit traitor and then brings all the information to Christian, and then they come up with this plan: we're gonna banish Rachel tonight, and then we're gonna murder Stephanie.
And that's probably, and it seems like that's what's going to happen, unfortunately.
But we'll see if Suri lets them murder Stephanie. I mean, you know, Suri is a very big Stephanie supporter. So especially losing an ally in Rachel that same night, we will see. But I just, this is just like, this truly sets off just like a chain reaction. It's like he lit a fuse. It's like he's in the first challenge and he built those fuses, and now like the bunny thing is on fire. Yeah.
I want to clarify something. Did you say that you think that Stephanie is going to go next because of this?
Well, they said it in the episode. They said the plan is banish Rachel and we're going to murder Stephanie because Stephanie's on to us. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I thought we meant banish Stephanie next, because I was like, I have a prediction that I would like to share if that's where we're going, but I can wait.
Okay. Quentin is talking to, I don't know who, but he says, I think to Andy, believes that Andy and Suri are faithful And I put LOL. And he throws out again, Rachel and Kate.
Okay.
Andy says that they're all blinded by personal relationships, which is true. And I wrote, literally, this is what's happening right now. The conversation is taking place with Suri, and you're saying we're all blinded by personal relationships. You're saying it to the person who's blinding you the most. It's Suri.
Yes.
You're self-aware enough to know that you're being completely blinded by these personal relationships, but you're not. You're so blinded by the person that you're sitting next to. It's just wild to me that you know that the personal relationships are skewing the way you're thinking about things, but you're still not willing to be like, oh, maybe it's the person I'm closest to, which is Suri. Wild. It's just wild. This is why I'm like, Andy gets it, but they like don't get it at the same time. It's like they get it, but there's like a blockage there for some reason. I don't understand.
Maybe it's the Quentin Andy duo, and they just feed each other's bad reads.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, let's blame
together.
Quentin.
Yeah, maybe
I blame-
together they just can't see the light. Maybe the
Yes.
best thing for Andy's game is for somehow to get Quentin out. But I would never take Quentin out. He's so bad at this. I would never murder him. I
Oh,
would never
no.
banish him. I'm taking him straight to the end because he has no like clue about anything, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
Quentin is literally, I think we said this last episode, he's the traitor's best friend. Quentin is definitely, he's very vocal and he's very wrong. So he's definitely the best friend of the traitors.
Oh yeah, there's no way I'm letting Christian go anywhere if I'm a traitor. Absolutely no way.
Quentin, you said Christian.
I'm sorry. Yes, Quentin. Christian, on the other hand,
We're letting
maybe,
go,
who knows?
probably,
Yeah,
after
I
that.
would be on a rampage right now if I were Suri.
Yeah.
So Suri wants to tip off Rachel that her name is out there. But as this is happening, Ari and Christian are like, we got to get rid of Rachel. Like, it's got to happen. We got to get rid of Rachel. So unfortunately, Suri is on the outside of this boys club of traitors who are already planning this because Rachel's onto Christian. Oh my God. Rachel then approaches Andy, wants to secure their vote. And Andy says to her, like, I'm concerned that you're looking at this as just a game. And like, you have to understand, I'm taking in all the information that's coming to me, which I think is fair, but off base.
Yeah, it tracks with the rest of the season. Proceed.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
okay. Next.
Yeah.
I will say that luckily this is like why episode 8 has been my favorite episode, because this does lead to Rachel to gain this episode and to see Rachel go around and have conversations. And you know, that, I mean, that's what I'm like, I've said before, like I'm here for the social aspect, the strategy aspect. And it's nice to finally, now that, because Rachel, the first like 4 episodes was not doing much except beefing with Kate. So to see Rachel actually play the game now, and even in the challenge, we see Rachel really going for it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this was good because at least it lit a fire under Rachel, and I feel like this was a good, like, this was probably the first episode where I've been like Team Rachel again. Like I came in liking Rachel, then I feel like this show has been a little meh, but I feel like this episode I was like, okay, Rachel, like work, let's go. I love this energy from you, you know? So
Yeah, I thought Rachel actually put in some good work here. And especially what I really liked seeing at the mission was when Rachel ended up on the same team as Andy.
yes.
She was like, I can use this as an opportunity to like win Andy over. And I'm like, I like that your brain is thinking that way, Rachel. And Rachel has said when her back is against the wall, she's going to fight. And her back was really against the wall this episode. And she fought until the bitter end. But we'll talk about that because I have a lot of thoughts about this roundtable.
Oh, that round table was wild.
Yes,
See,
I have a lot of thoughts.
I feel like the scrambling, or maybe not the scrambling, but the intense conversations, the multiple conversations with people was maybe, I feel like she should have saved this for the round table because this was like an instance of her behavior changing. And this group has been very keen on pointing out your behavior has changed. This is why I'm skeptical of you, because Rachel isn't going around and like trying to gameplay every single person into being on her side prior to this. And like you said though, Katie, yeah, she does have her back up against the wall, and she's claimed before this, if my back's against the wall, I'm gonna do everything I can in my power to like save myself, which like go off, do that. I support you entirely. However, it was a change in behavior for her, which I could then see why someone like Andy is like, but you know, you hadn't been doing this up until this point. So like, are you scrambling because you're trying to save yourself because you're a traitor? I could see that very easily being the response to this different side of Rachel's game that we saw in this day.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you because it worked against Kyle, right? Same thing happened with Kyle.
Yeah.
His back was against the wall. He was having one-on-one conversations, and this is literally the reason that Andy brought up when they kicked off the roundtable. Your behavior changed, and you were trying to game it and scheme it, and it just seemed suspicious.
I just I'm just gonna push back a little bit because I feel like this was a situation where like no matter what you do, you're kind of the end result I think was gonna be the same with Rachel
Yeah.
going home. So do I think it was the best idea? I honestly don't know with this cast, but I feel like it's like the way you have to do it. And we had seen it with like other people, like maybe the cast would have taken this as a since other people who we've banished who have tried to scramble were actually faithfuls. Maybe Rachel is a faithful too. Maybe they would use that logic. So I don't know. But I just feel like no matter what Rachel did, like she was gonna go home, and she just sat around. People be like, okay, she doesn't care. Like that's us too. So they'll come up with a reason
Yeah.
to make that suspicious. So I don't know. For at least for the TV sake of it all, like it was good for me to see someone like really play the game, and like that's what I like to see. And I feel like Rachel was like screwed anyways, because this is the game where like besides Kate, everyone else's whose name gets even a little traction, you go home. So
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point, Javier, because it's this is the most frustrating thing I think overall with the season for me is that the roundtables almost don't matter because no one's vote is changing. Like it's like it feels like one of those Big Brother seasons where there's a big house alliance and they all decide the week of the day that someone gets HOH that this is who they're voting and the house has to vote this way, and then nothing that that person who's on the block can do to change their vote. Like it's just never going to change. This is what's happening in like a micro version of that. It almost feels like a mini. Like if you guys have, I know Carrie, you've played minis. I don't know Javier if you've ever played a mini, but it feels like it's like people are going into like breakout rooms and then like trying to have conversations, but everything's happening so quickly and like people are locked in and that's just what's happening. And it's frustrating because those roundtables, they don't seem to matter in this version where I feel like at least in the UK we saw more dynamic conversations and people didn't come into the roundtables completely decided already, so it was more dynamic. This it's like they all met up yesterday and said Shelby's the one today. Okay, it's Shelby. And now today it's Rachel. And I think you're absolutely right. No matter what Rachel did, I don't think that vote was changing. So it's frustrating,
I
unfortunately.
The other point I want to bring up, and I think this also relates to like the Andy telling Suri the information, is that we have the information of knowing who the traitors are, so we get to view this from that point. And so I could again like easily understand, while from our perspective, like, what are you doing? Why are you making these decisions? Whether it's like going to Suri with this information, or why are you scrambling, or why are you not scrambling? Why are you not trying to defend yourself? Is like we know who is and isn't. So I think that's just like something to bring up in that.
Yeah.
I would completely understand seeing Rachel scramble and being like, the fuck is she doing? She hasn't done this at all. Usually she's just like complaining about Kate and that's it. And so now this is something different. So just throwing that out there, that like I agree that I don't know whether or not, I think it is more like what you're saying, Katie, of this, they're coming in with this vote. We aren't seeing a lot of changes. And I mean, I think actually Rachel is probably one of the few players who did come in with open mind a lot of the time. Like with the Shelby one, she's like, if you had convinced me, I wouldn't have voted for you.
I don't know how true that statement was, but
yeah,
I'll give her credit. So I don't know. I think that like it is also worth for us taking a step back as viewers, being like, we know who these traitors are from the get-go versus not knowing like the rest of them do. So
yeah.
no, you go
Oh,
first.
no, go ahead.
I'm gonna make one last point on this though. I just feel like, so whenever you watch like a Survivor, a Big Brother, all these other reality like competition shows, campaigning is super important, right? Because you need to try to get if your back's against the wall, you need to try to get off the block or whatever you want to call it. So but I feel like if you go into a game like the Traitors, where like I think I was kind of trying to get at earlier with like Andy and Suri, you need to, no matter what you, in like a Big Brother Survivor, you have a number one and you should have a number one. But here you can't really have a number one 100% if you want to win this game. So that's why I think it's like bad gameplay, what I was trying to get at with Andy previously, because no matter if you have someone who's your number one, you have to keep something from them because you never know who a traitor is. The only person who knows the traitors are the other traitors. So they can have obviously all these open conversations, but you need to sometimes keep some information to yourself. So I just feel like this game, you got to play it differently. And that's why I feel like campaigning doesn't like campaigning in like a Survivor Big Brother is different than campaigning in this game, because you should always have in the back of your mind like this person might be playing me because they can be,
Yeah.
So.
This seems like a really hard game to play. Carrie,
Yeah.
I completely get what you're saying, because strategically, there's no clues in the house to who the traitors might be. There's nothing that tips them off other than the traitors' actual behavior. So it's hard. I mean, if the traitors are playing as well as Suri is playing, if all three of them are playing that well, which, like, to be fair, Christian was playing that well up until today. Not as good as Suri, but like he was playing well enough where the only people who were really suspicious of him were Kate and Brandy, and Kate and Brandy didn't have any stock with anybody in the house, so like his name didn't get any traction. But it's difficult. I give them, I'm like, I empathize with them a little bit just because there's really nothing to go off of. So I get what you're saying about like the behavior change. I think where Rachel came in with her biggest mistake is that she was so locked in on Kate and was so wrong about it, and just was like laser focused on Kate, that the second, you're right, that she does anything different, they could look at her. But I do appreciate the fact that she went out fighting and didn't just give up. Like, at least we saw her fighting till the very end, which is what I want to see. I want to see these people play the game a little bit. And it didn't feel like up until now many of them were playing the game. And we finally get to see a little bit of strategy and a little bit of like, you know, Rachel's game sense here in this episode. So at least we have that.
I have a point to make to Javier, but then I also don't want to ruin the UK for you to watch it. So just know that at 1 hour and 35 minutes into our fourth podcast, not including the draft, I have a point to make to you about when you finish the UK version of this show, because I'm not going to ruin it for you. However, I have a very good point right now, and I'm respecting spoilers. So.
Thank you.
I'm curious what your point is, but I'll ask you later. Okay, so we move on to the mission. I have to be honest with you. I fast forward. When I first watched this episode, I had the mission on. I was like doing the dishes. I could hear it in the background. So I know it was like literally just Kate and Suri screaming the whole time, which is just hilarious to me that they were in a full panic and like could not communicate. Other than that, I found this mission like really gross. I don't like to see like, I feel bad for the rats. I'm an animal enthusiast. I feel bad that they like have rats there for a challenge. And like, I don't need to see maggots falling on somebody. That's fucking disgusting. And I don't need to see people putting their face in a thing and pulling numbers out with their mouth surrounded by bugs and worms. Like, I'm good on that. So I definitely fast forwarded it again this time. I didn't pay attention the first time, and I fast forwarded again the second time. But essentially, this mission is they're breaking up into teams of 2. Each team has to enter a cabin, and it's kind of like an escape room. They have to get all these different clues to get a code to get out of the room. And then whoever gets out of the room the quickest, whichever team, they get to go to the armory. Once again, we get a pretty iconic line from Kate of Rachel saying like, I actually filmed a horror movie in a remote cabin in the woods. And Kate says, was it called Your Honeymoon? Which I just like, she's just like too much for me. And the best part of this was just Kate and Suri completely like screaming the whole time. And Andy was having like a full panic attack the entire time and was doing nothing to help.
I think that Kate line was amazing. It was called, I was like, Rachel was scalped, she is bald, like there's nothing left on her hair. Like that was amazing. Kate line. I thought it was also funny because at one point Suri started screaming for her mommy. I was like, girl, what are you doing?
Know. That was so funny, screaming for her mommy.
But the other thing I thought was like, this is like Fear Factor. I was like, Rachel won Fear Factor. This was like right up Rachel's alley.
Yeah, it's true.
And she proved it. Like she absolutely killed it. Like you said, Andy just stood there and Rachel did everything, you know? So I want to give again props to Rachel. Like this is like why I like Rachel and like the Big Brother setting, because you know whenever there was a challenge, she like competes. Like she's a competitor, and I like that energy from players. So I did like seeing Rachel again. This was another highlight for me of Rachel in this episode, just seeing Rachel compete and like that really like badass energy from Rachel. I love that. So
Yeah, I
Shout
think
out
it's
to Rachel
unfortunate we
again.
didn't get to see this Rachel throughout the whole show. Like, it
Yeah.
didn't feel like we got a good version of Rachel up until this episode. And then even the roundtable, I have some thoughts. I don't know if it's Rachel's best moment. So, but up until that point, yeah. Carrie, do you have any thoughts about this challenge? This was different than it was in the UK, right? It was like a little more gross.
I didn't watch the
I think.
UK one. I got to the what because I wasn't podcasting about the UK one, so I fast forwarded through all the challenges starting with the third
Wow.
one.
I think it was a little less gross in the UK, if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that's worth noting is not just like how hard Rachel went, but Rachel very much kept Andy from quitting. And
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I am surprised that Rachel was not able to use these actions to get Andy on her side later because of the like, oh my God, you think it's a game or whatever. And Rachel's like, I feel like Rachel could have used that with them to be like, yeah, it's a game, but like, who was keeping you sane during all that? Like, who was looking out for you? Like, clearly I care about you as like, if not more, as much. Like, we had the benefit of winning, but also, so I was kind of shocked by like, I think Rachel showed I get why people like her on TV and why she was showing up on my timeline of like, this is like, she's meant for reality TV and stuff. Like, I don't know, to be able to have that mix of like doing this weird shit of like putting your head in a bucket of bugs to take a number out with your mouth while also keeping someone who's having a panic attack like from it, at least like in enough to be able to complete the chat. Like she had to do everything on her own without Andy. So I will give Rachel.
Listen, I would have been
her credit
Andy in
there.
this challenge. I just have to be honest. Like, there's no way I'm standing there and letting maggots fall into my hair. Like, the fact that Kate, who has long hair, and like, I just like, I can't even think about it. It's just so disgusting to me. Ugh, it's just disgusting. It's like,
Oh,
let's
wait.
just stop using living things in challenges. How about that? Reality TV. Like, we don't need to do this. We don't need to do all of this. It's not fun to watch. It's just disgusting for the people that have to do it. Like, we don't need it.
The only other thing I want to do though is I want to give also Kate a shout out. She
Yes.
really did well this.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
She did amazing this time. Quentin even like was like, "Oh my God," gave her a hug. Like Kate won some good faith, I guess.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think it's gonna help her, but it was really great to see Kate compete, and Kate killed it too. So shout out to Kate as well. Who I didn't think that would come out of her. I thought Kate would have stood in a corner and been like, "I ain't touching these maggots," like So amazing.
Something changed in Kate with this day. Like, maybe Carrie, you're right, maybe she did get laid because like she was in a pleasant mood during the lunch breakfast. She was going back and forth with Rachel, but it was almost like in a funnier way than like really like jabbing at her, other than this honeymoon comment, but still funny. And she really killed it. You're right, in this challenge she did great. And you're right, Quentin was like, this just proves to me that like Kate, if she wants to do it, she can do it. Like she will show up. And for some reason today she decided she wanted to do it. And maybe it is the fact that there's only 2 days left and she has a chance to win it all. But like, there's a bunch of traitors left. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here if that's what you're thinking. But yeah, no, shout out to Kate. She did great. And the
I think part
screaming,
of-
her and Cerise screaming was just so funny to me.
Yeah. I think part of Kate's performance today was due to the fact that she was partnered with Suri, because I do think that Kate does respect Suri.
Yes, I agree.
Even while Kate's on the outskirts of this group, like Suri still has those one-on-one conversations with her. And you could see that like Suri was freaking out. And so Kate was kind of the one like, okay, you can hold the board over you, and like giving Suri the comfort of that. And there was other instances where Kate was just like, okay, I'll take care of it, and stepped up. And so I think it also, like, if she was with Rachel, I think she just would let Rachel do everything.
Yeah.
And honestly,
yeah.
I would have been interested to see if Kate was with Andy, like how that would have went. I think Kate still would have stepped up, but I think we
so,
got
too.
the best Kate in this challenge, because I also don't think she would have done that to Suri, just let them stand there for 30 minutes having these like roaches and maggots dumped on them.
Yes, I agree. There's also something to be said about wanting to get the fuck out of that situation as fast as possible. So there's that. So, but yeah, I mean, good on Kate, and yeah, great on Rachel. I totally agree. After the mission, Ari's team wins. So we can say that. and gets to go to the armory. They add 35K to the
Ari
pot.
Murray.
Ari Marie, yes. And we can just cut right there. Ari wins it again for the third time, which is just truly unbelievable. Like, I don't know how he does it. If like the box is, if they keep putting in the same box and he noticed that, I have
He
no
was
idea,
the
but
last
it's
one
wild.
in all 3 times.
That's true. That is true. So I don't know. I guess these other people are just their pickers are broken. But yeah, in the car on the way back, Rachel's still pushing Kate, which I wrote like, this is crazy. We're 8 episodes in. Like, we have to switch it up a little bit, Rachel, because it's on you now, and Kate hasn't gotten traction for these 8 episodes. Like, put it on someone else and like push Christian, because that might get some traction. Stephanie already thinks it's Christian. Maybe Ari doesn't, but you could probably get Kate on your side. You could probably get Andy on your side. Like, why are we still obsessing over Kate? Like, you should take the one piece of suspicion that's new to you as of this morning and push Christian. That's where Rachel kind of loses me here, because her sights are so set on Kate that it's just detrimental to her, and it has not worked. 8 episodes in, it has not worked. You have to move on to something else.
Rachel's kind of like Maddie in the UK version.
Yes.
If you've watched the UK version, you know. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, very much so. That's what I've been thinking the entire time, with one key difference between Maddie and Rachel, but we'll talk about that if we ever talk about the UK. The plan, like we talked about earlier, between Ari and Christian that they've come up with is to banish Rachel and then to murder Stephanie, since they're both onto them. And then Rachel comes in as they're discussing this, and they pretend to be talking about Kate. And then she starts campaigning for votes. And they're like, yeah, no, we're voting for Kate. Like, definitely. Yeah, totally. We're voting for Kate. When clearly they're going to be voting for Rachel. There is one point where Sari and Andy are talking, and Andy is literally like, I know it's not Ari, and I know it's not you. And I'm like, Andy, I can't. It's just wild to me how wrong and blinded they are. And then, yeah, the last thing I had in my notes about this part is that Ari gets the shield again for the 3rd time.
Bring us to the banishment.
All right, let's go. Let's walk into the room. Let's have a seat at the table. Kate kicks it off. She's voting for Rachel. She's like, I'm voting for Rachel. And Rachel's like, I'm voting for Kate. And Kate gives a good kind of read here a little bit. Probably the best read so far that Kate has had, which is still not correct, but she accuses Rachel of orchestrating the Cody vote, because she's like, if you're also a traitor, it makes sense for a traitor to throw another traitor under the bus. You get more money at the end. And Stephanie was like, this literally makes no sense, 0 sense for traitors to orchestrate eliminating a traitor. And I'm like, but it does though. Stephanie, it does. And that's actually exactly what happened, because that's the only reason one of the traitors is out, is because it was orchestrated by the other 2 traitors. So just like completely off base.
I think,
And Stephanie, oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, like, I thought, yeah, I agree. This was a good moment for Kate. I also wrote that down. I was like, oh, wow, Kate is actually thinking logically, with her eyes on the wrong person. But I thought it was funny because at one point, Kate also says it's not personal. And this cast is just funny. They keep bringing up it's not personal, it's game. And I wish we could keep a tally of how many times people have either said it's not or it's just a game, or it's not personal, because that's all they keep saying for all their reasoning for everything. So I was just like, Kate, why would you say that again? So I thought that was
I
funny
also
to hear
feel like
that
Kate
again.
has said in the past that like it is personal.
Personal, yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure she said to Rachel like it is personal. But I did think that was funny. I didn't take Kate at face value when she said that. I kind of got her like saying that as like a poking thing toward Rachel, but maybe she was being
Definitely.
serious. I don't know. But Stephanie starts to use Kate's previous voting tally against her, which, Carrie, you were kind of talking about yesterday when we spoke about the previous 2 episodes, about how they're not using things that have already happened in the game to like game out what's happening in this day. So what did you think about Stephanie using Kate's previous vote history against her in this moment?
Well, it's just like every other faithful. They're wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
good try, but
Yeah.
close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. Unfortunately, not in the traitors. So
I know. It's tough. It's honestly, it's tough to even like discuss these roundtables from the faithful's perspective, because it's hard to, and Carrie, I think you've done a really good job of defending Quentin over the last few episodes, even though you gave up today, which I expect you to give up yesterday. So props to you for being able to do it yesterday, and like giving Andy benefit of the doubt, because they're just so wrong that it's hard to even talk about the strategy going into this because they are so wrong. So I give you credit for being able to do it because I can't.
Honestly, I think going forward, what they really need to do is in casting, run games of Mafia or Werewolf
Yeah.
or Secret H with these people and like see how they do.
Yeah.
Mix it up, see how it goes. Because I get that in shows like Survivor, Big Brother, especially Big Brother, in my limited experience in watching, that like you need caricatures of people
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. Like
Mhm.
they're the most outlandish, outrageous. Like they are the people that get drawn by the caricatures artists, right? But here you do not need those dynamic personalities as much as you need a decent balance of people who can connect with other people as well as think strategically and be social. So like we don't need these big personalities. And so I'm hoping that going forward, there's like an IQ test or something.
Yeah, or just like someone that has like observation skills.
And I think we lost that in Amanda.
Yes,
feel
I
like
was going to
and
shout out
Kyle.
Amanda. I was
And
going to
Kyle.
thank
Yeah.
you for saying it. I was going to shout her
I
out.
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking of it in terms of like the reality TV people. I know Kyle's not from like a game show, but I still
Yeah.
think that there's a level of like being comfortable in front of the cameras
Yeah.
that comes with this. And I also just think it kind of puts you at like a really distinct disadvantage knowing that 10 people have had these like boom mics in their face while they're having
Yeah.
conversations and
Yeah.
being followed around, and the other 10 haven't. And again, not to get too far into the weeds of like why I do not like how this is cast, but I just want to get back to the way, or like the thinking of, I don't know, just maybe like run a game of Mafia with your final 100 and narrow
Yeah.
it down from there. See, I mean, obviously not all together, but there's ways to see if you're getting people who can not just be on the show, but also make the show a better viewing experience from the game side of it.
I completely agree with you. And before we go on, I want to highlight Miss Brown Sugar's comment in the chat is that the irony of Rachel's downfall is that she's been demanding that people prove they are faithful, an impossible task, as she's quickly learned. And it's true. I mean, Rachel fought her ass off at this roundtable. Rachel pretty much comes out and says, does anybody else think that I'm a traitor? And then no one says anything. And she's like, see, no one. And then Andy's like, well, actually, I do. And
because you're playing a game.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah. Because you're playing a game. And Rachel, this is where Rachel starts to get super defensive. And she says, I promise you on our future friendship that I'm not a faithful, which I'm just kind of like,
Not
I
a
don't
traitor.
like it. Sorry, yes, not a traitor. That she is a faithful. I don't like it. And we've talked about this, Carrie, on the Challenge podcast, when people use outside elements of a game, bring them into a game and use them as threats. We saw it with Jordan and Tori this season of the Challenge. And I feel like Rachel is doing this here. And I don't think that that is fair gameplay. Like, I just think that's really a manipulation tactic. And I do not like when people bring that into a situation that's really, it is a game. Like, this is a game. So to say, and I don't feel like necessarily she was threatening her friendship with Andy, but to say like, I promise you on our future friendship, that feels weird. It feels a little weird to me. And this is where it veered off into like, okay, Rachel's going down a path where she can't come back from.
Shout
Not
out
like
to
cancel.
UK.
We're not canceling her, but like, you know what I mean.
Again, shout out UK for giving us a precursor to this, because
Yeah.
again, no spoilers, but
Yeah.
I just want to
yep,
say
see,
that,
look,
Yep.
Adrian said the same thing in the chat. But
Yep.
yeah, I agree that the I can understand like why people go to that, because it's like, look how serious I am. Like Brandy was like, I swear on my kids that I am I'm faithful.
That feels different to me because that's
Yeah.
not really manipulative with someone else in the game. Like, you're just saying like, this is how much I'm telling you the truth is like, I'm willing to swear on my kids, which like maybe you shouldn't do that either. But this to say like on our future friendship, like that to me is super manipulative, especially for someone like Andy who takes this all so personally.
Yeah.
Clearly they wanted to get Rachel out because she's playing a game. I just didn't like it. I didn't like that.
No, I don't think it's good strategy. I just understand the level of desperate that Rachel got to, and maybe thought because of how much Andy values the relationships that have been made, and like that it is more than a game, and that's where Rachel was trying to go to. Like, yes, this is more than a game to me too, our friendship. And so yeah, I do think it's manipulative. I don't think it's good strategy, but I also understand the desperation, because I don't know if Rachel, I mean, clearly Rachel didn't have a different way to reach Andy and flip their vote in this moment.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I hate when people on reality TV swear on like their kids, swear on a dead person, swear. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm not gonna trust you more. If anything, I'm getting annoyed. I get annoyed. Like, if it were me, I'd be like, don't even say that to me. You're actually pissing me off. Now I want to vote you off, so you cannot say such stupid. Don't say such stupid comments. You know, like comments like that actually get me like angry. So I was like
Yeah.
mad when Rachel said that too, because I think it's just such a. First of all, I think it's agreed. I think it's bad gameplay, and like second of all, we've seen people lie about that. Like that means nothing to me. That literally, to me, maybe swearing is a big deal, but to you, it can mean nothing. So how can you use it as leverage? You know. So I hate when people do that as well.
Yes, I agree with you completely. It feels like just such a manipulation tactic where if someone turned that on, like put that on me, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm definitely voting you out now because like
Yeah.
don't pull that shit with me. And you're right. Swearing on something could mean something completely different to somebody else. And it's just like if you have to resort to that, then your game is already over. Like you don't have an actual strategy. So it just feels like if you're that desperate that you're willing to just like reach to the bottom of the barrel here and swear on something that's supposed to be important to you, like I'm out. But Adrian has a great question. Swearing on kids, friendship, or dead relatives, rank them from the best to the worst. I think friendship is probably best.
The best,
Like
one
the
to
least
swear on,
bad,
obviously?
like the least bad.
Oh, I think it's the least bad to swear on a dead relative because they're already dead. So like, what does it matter?
Yeah,
Well, I guess
was
it
gonna say
depends.
that
Like, is it
too.
your dead great aunt?
Insert any dead relative, and I would still feel the same way.
Yeah, I agree with Carrie. I think dead relative would be
Like,
the
what are you
least.
doing that's already worse?
Like you know, like
Yeah.
nothing's gonna happen to the dead person's body.
That's true.
You know?
I guess they're
Yeah.
already dead. I mean, they'll haunt you.
Well, I mean, that's how Kate got laid. So
Stop.
to each their own.
Okay, so then what's the worst one? Kids?
Kids is for me the worst.
I mean, as someone who will never have a child, it would probably be my friendship, because if I'm swearing my kids, then I'm lying to you.
Well, okay, like say like let's pretend that I had kids, which I don't. If I said, Carrie, I swear on my kids, or like I swear on our friendship, which would you take more seriously?
I would take the kids more seriously, to be honest, because
think-
like
I agree.
it's your kids.
Yeah.
If a woman has gone through 9 months of hell to just birth that thing,
Yeah.
and like, I mean, our friendship resulted from the internet. Like the kids have more seriousness.
yeah. And then what about I swear on Jesus?
If
For
I
me,
swear
this
on
is at least
Jesus,
bad because like
yeah.
I'm not religious at all. So like I could say I
Exactly.
swear to God or I swear to Jesus for anything, and it would mean truly nothing. So like if you ever hear me say that, it means nothing.
The thing that I would take the most seriously out of these is a pinky promise. Like if you break a pinky promise to me, when I say you are dead to me, that is not even an exaggeration. If I pinky promise to you, like I am giving you 100% of my word. Pinky promises, if you break it, like fuck you and your whole fucking family. That's how strongly I feel about pinky promises.
Wow.
Good to know. It's good to know.
I mean, for me, any swearing in a game is just I don't believe it. Pinky, the Bible, like Dan did
Yeah.
and Big Brother.
The Bible, I don't care.
Yes.
What you swear on. And it makes me want to target you just for being annoying. Like I just get annoyed, so I'll be like, I'm voting out anyways, just for pissing
Yeah.
me off.
You'll always be Judas in my house. Ms. Birch got another great point. Huge disadvantage for the normies. The reality TV folks are used to the mechanics of filming, which Carrie, you mentioned, riffing off the cuff, built-in authority, and for the competition vets, actual gameplay experience, which is so true. I'll say I swear on my pet, or I swear any celebrity name is a way to convince someone. I do sometimes. I will say, if I'm talking to my partner, I'll be like, I swear on Seymour and Philip that this is the truth, because like we both love the cat, so that means something to him, and it means something to me. So like if I'm like, no, I swear this happened, like for real.
I swore on my parents' golden retriever once, and I was lying. And immediately after that game, I called my mom and I was like, hold the phone up to Riggins. I have to apologize to him, and like make sure you keep an eye out on him, because I swore on Riggins, and
I would never
I
swear on a helpless animal to me. Like I think that's along the lines with kids. Like they are my kids. My cats.
It was one of those things. I don't think I could ever do it with Nitro, but it was one of those things that like the person that I needed to convince knew how much Riggins meant to me, but I also hate losing. So I swore
Yeah, you
on
had to weigh it.
Riggins.
You had to
And
weigh it.
Savage,
it worked.
okay.
It
I know,
worked.
savage.
But then I also, because like we were playing online, this was like pre-COVID. We were playing Secret H online, and like I had the phone call on speaker in front of like a Zoom of 12 people, being like, I just got to call, make sure Riggins is all right. But
Aww.
I've done it. I will admit. I don't think I could do it with Nitro, because like Nitro is legitimately my dog, versus like Riggins is like my parents, and I see him when I go home or whatever, and it was convincing enough, but I would be too afraid. Plus I would have to pay the vet bill.
Yes,
That's
and
the
Valencia
other big
will
difference.
come for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Valencia
That's
said you
true.
better not.
The real determining factor is the vet bill that would come from it, and that's
Yeah.
on my credit card, not my parents. So
Yeah. All right, back to this roundtable. Rachel is super hurt here. Like the tides are turning on Rachel here. It's very clear. She's getting emotional. She's getting really defensive, and she looks at Sari, and I think it's weird to me that I guess Stephanie is voting with Rachel and not against Rachel, so she's not as defensive against Stephanie because there's no reason to be. But she looks at Sari, and it's like, I just feel like the way that she is speaking to Sari is just so wild to me. And Sari, I think, does a great job here of being like, Rachel, you're doing things that I just like can't defend. So I don't know what you want from me. Like there's things that you've done in this game that I cannot defend. And I don't want to vote for you. And I felt like that was real from Sari. Like I really do, because it seemed like Sari really wanted to keep Rachel around. But I just found this just so completely manipulative from Rachel, the way that she was talking to Sari. And like Sari, like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work on maybe on other people at the table, but it's not working on Sari.
It's just like, I just want to say, like, I love this. This was part of my favorite roundtable yet. And like seeing just Rachel like really getting like emotional, and to know that Rachel is a faithful. I feel like when I watch like a show like a Big Brother Survivor, like I know these people might be lying, but to know that Rachel's like being super serious, and I think Rachel was like literally taking this like very much to heart. Like Rachel was actually taking this seriously. Like when you play a game like Big Brother Survivor, you can lie, and like, but here Rachel knows she's like not lying at all.
Yep.
So it's just like, it was just really good TV to see Rachel. After everyone would vote, or after everyone would say anything, Rachel had a comment. She always had something to say. And it was just like seeing Rachel just be like, so like, I don't know. I saw this like heated side of Rachel, which I hadn't seen this season. Was nice to see, because I don't know. I like to see that passion behind these players. And like, I do think it was kind of crazy the way that she was like staring down Sari, like, you're the one, Sari. Like, I don't give up about all these other people, but if you do this to me, like, this is really going to hurt me. So that was just wild to watch. But I thought it was good TV, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a couple of things that Rachel said. She called them a bunch of fucking idiots. She told Andy, she said, I do take it personally, Andy. She said, congratulations, you got played. She just like has a comment for every vote essentially that comes out in her way, and she keeps talking even though Alan is like, time for talking is over. She keeps talking, and Alan is like, the time for talking is over. And while even after Alan says that, Sari is still writing down her vote, and Rachel is still going at Sari. What did you guys, I mean, like, Carrie, what did you think about this? I was personally excited to see some drama at a round table.
Yep, same.
But
yeah,
I wasn't supportive of the way Rachel was playing here.
It was nice to have someone to root against. I appreciate that she put in the fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at the night before when Shelby just kind of like sat there and like took it, that was frustrating. And so I appreciate what Rachel did. I was definitely like telling her to shut the fuck up literally every single comment she made out loud.
I was like, oh my God, she's still talking.
Yes. Like, I'm like, I definitely was, every comment Rachel made, I had a comment for Rachel. But for the viewership of it all, I definitely appreciated it. There is something that I would like to point out in that, to me, if again, like we know the cast that we have, but Suri, I think, gave the most insight on why people should start looking at her with her comments to Rachel of like, I don't know, there's like I have to look at you. I have to consider what you've done from the perspective of being a traitor. And like, if you take, I don't know, like Andy and Suri's relationship, and if Andy and listening to that, like, oh, should I be considering things from this perspective? I feel like while it's like a great faithful play, I think it also, if people were looking for their next suspect, I think it gave a little bit of insight that they could have taken. Not saying it was evidence, but just like strategy to consider, in that if Suri is going to turn on someone who everybody knew was like her, Stephanie and Rachel are in an alliance or whatever, do I need to start considering to do this? Which like a bunch of them should have started to consider like 3 episodes ago to do. But I thought it was, again, I think that like Suri's word has a bit more impact amongst these players, and for her to say that, like, I think also could, if there's any hot water to be found, maybe this is like them turning the stove on.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it'll happen, to be fair, but like,
no, I'm sure it won't. These people are a mess.
I do want to put that out there.
Adrian says the comment to Ari was their favorite, and same. Ari put a sad face when he voted, which honestly like drives me crazy. Just like write the name down. Everybody this whole season has been putting sad faces, and I'm sorry. We know you're sorry. Everybody has to have a vote. Someone's name has to be written down. You don't have to do this. But she was like, "What's the sad face for?" And then she's like, "Yeah, you don't mean it. Whatever." Like she was just every vote. But the Ari one was very funny.
For me, I really liked Quentin's vote.
Me
Quentin,
too.
Quentin goes, and I'm not even sorry about it, and I don't even care if you're a traitor.
Yes.
I was cracking up. I was like, yes, that's the energy I want, Quentin. Maybe I can be Team Quentin for like 2 seconds, because that was a great comment to make.
This was the only moment this whole season so far that I was pro Quentin. He said, I voted for you, Rachel, and I'm not sorry about it. Even if you are a faithful, you can learn a lot about a person when they're under pressure. And in this moment, I'm learning a lot. And then she was like, yeah, because you're a traitor. And he's like, got it. And he was just so done with her after she like said whatever it is she said back to him, some nonsense. He was just like, got it. They were done. It felt like Quentin turned here. Like he was really anti-Kate, and Kate kind of proved herself to him in the mission. And now Rachel kind of like went down in the dirt a little bit in this episode. Not that Quentin's opinion really holds much weight at all, because he's just wrong about everything. But I thought it was interesting that he was like, even if you're faithful, I really don't even care at this point. Same with Kate.
Yeah.
Kate said, if I'm incorrect, I'm actually okay with it because I find you really offensive.
Like that's a crazy statement to say to somebody. I find you offensive.
Yeah, I find
Like,
you really offensive.
Kate's mind is powerful to just come up with like effortless just ways to drag you. So good.
With no like just dry one note delivery. It's pretty great. Rachel gets voted out. She's saying to Suri, the way that she responds here to Suri is frustrating. And she's just like, I separate my emotions in this game and I treat it like a business, and like I'm able to separate that. But like, of course I'm getting emotional because I get scared and I don't know what to say. And I'm like, please, with this, like you've been so loud and wrong against Kate, and now it's like this whole season, every single episode, you have been loud and wrong, and now it's coming back around to you and you can't handle it. Like you've never seen Kate cry like this. Cody went out with his head high and he got turned on by the 2 other traitors. And like, I don't like to give props. I don't like to give props to Cody Calafiore.
Give any shucked corn.
No, I will not be giving this man any props. But I will give him his props, and I don't like to do that, is that he went out with, and I don't, I love classlessness because I'm a Real Housewives fan. I'm a Bravo fan. That's all they are, is classless. I love it. But in a game like this, it's a game. And he went out with his head held high and was like, I got. And that's it. Like, it was great playing with you. And he went out gracefully, and she went out like a damn mess.
I mean, Rachel did my least favorite, but like the funniest thing to me on reality TV, or like all TV, when people like no tears were coming out. Like she was crying.
Yes.
But I love when people do that because I think it's so hilarious. She's like, "Oh my god, this is," and literally not a single tear. She opens her eyes and her eyes look perfectly fine. I'm like, girl, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna act, at least do like Cerie. Cerie actually shed a few tears. I was like, okay, Cerie, the actress, Cerie's doing what she needs to do, but Rachel did not shed a single tear, and it just makes it, to me, it just seems so disingenuous when you're like seem that emotional, but don't like fake cry then, or try to fake cry. Like that was so like absurd to me from Rachel.
Yeah.
It was very Jesse Spano on the caffeine pills in Saved by the Bell. I'm so scared.
Yeah. Yes.
If
yes.
You're old
it was
enough
very
to
like
understand
that.
that reference. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to
being
you,
along
elder
for the ride.
millennials. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We know how to work YouTube. We're all here together.
Yeah. Yeah. We're doing it. So there is another moment here where what we were talking about a little earlier, where Rachel is like, well, congratulations, Kate. You're doing an amazing job as a traitor. And I'm like, she's not a traitor either. Neither one of you are. This is so embarrassing for everybody involved. It's just embarrassing. But she gets up. She's voted out. She says, Kate, I don't care if you think I'm offensive. I'm hurt because I've been backstabbed by every single one of you and it sucks. Which, no, you have not. This is the game and you were not backstabbed by anyone you were voted against. It's very different. Nobody backstabbed you. Nobody backstabbed you. This is part of the game. And she said, I'm a faithful and y'all are a bunch of idiots and you're being manipulated by people who are so obvious. And like, ma'am, no one here is obvious except for Christian, but you guys aren't clocking anybody. It's not clearly not obvious to you. Yep. You are all very wrong. And there
My
she goes.
prediction is that based off of the very small pattern we have in the US season, Christian goes next at banishment because Cody had his fuck up. They still voted someone else out that night. And it wasn't until the next day when they like had a full 24 hours to like sleep on it, come back, and then it really gained momentum. I think that there's going to be more eyes on Christian in this next banishment tomorrow, just because it's like, all right, let's go back for a second and reconsider what this man said at breakfast yesterday.
Well, let's think about who we are going to have left. There's 2 roundtables left. Who are we going to have left? We're going to have, if we assume there's going to be one murder, right? So we'll either have Stephanie, Kate, or Andy left. One of them will be gone. I think we can assume based on the conversation that it will be Stephanie, but we'll see what happens. So we'll have maybe, let's just say for number's sake, Andy and Kate, or Stephanie and Kate, or whoever, and Quentin.
Yeah.
And then 3 traitors. So it's 3 against 3.
Yeah, there's no way Cerie doesn't win this. There's just no way. There's zero. I think dare I say there is 0% chance Cerie loses this game. Like there's just no way I see it. I don't see it happening.
It's I find it wild that we are down to 6 people and 3 of those 6 people are traitors.
3 traitors.
That is horrendous to me that we're down to 3. It's pretty bad. It's pretty terrible. And 2 of them are the original traitors. It's not even like, it's the numbers are not looking good for these faithfuls. It's pretty wild. But we have 2 roundtables left. Everybody feels bad about the Rachel vote. What can you do? Andy gets up, leaves the room. They're very upset. They're sitting in a room by themselves. Kate and Ari go in to check on Andy. And Ari's kind of like, even though I'm a traitor now, I still have bonds with these faithfuls, which like, of course, so does Cerie, so does everybody, except maybe Christian. I don't know if he actually has like actual feelings. But Andy then starts to pinpoint Christian because of a lie. They're like, it's got to be Christian. Because Kate is like, I swear to God, I am not a traitor. And it seems like Andy believes her at this point and says, well, then it has to be Christian. It just has to be. Ari says that Christian's playing too loose. And I just think it's crazy that it's been 24 hours. Less than 24 hours? It hasn't been full? No, it's been less than 24 hours since Ari became a traitor. And he's already like, man, this Christian guy playing way too loose. And I'm like, yeah, imagine how poor Cerie feels trying to have to keep this guy on a leash this whole time. And the episode kind of ends just with some suspicion on Christian.
Yeah.
And we get a very good confessional with Cerie, saying, getting cocky leads you to get banished. So, Carrie, I don't think your prediction is the tides are turning. As they turned on Rachel, they are turning on Christian based on Cerie's confessional. He's walking up the stairs with Ari and is like, the traitors are going to bed. And I'm like, bro,
Yeah, like what? He's so
Shut up. Just shut up. The ego. I guess he thinks there's 2 days left and he's got it in the bag, but like, not every day is promised to you, sir. And that's it. That's where we end. We're episode 7 and 8. But I agree with you guys. I think episode 8 was the best episode of the season so far.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
definitely.
that was the one that really made me wish we were all on the internet together.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite episode. The Rachel scrambling, the Rachel challenge. It just was good. It was really good TV.
Yeah. Yeah, this one hit it out of the park for me so far. I was feeling a little not necessarily lackluster. I just think we were comparing, and I went into this season knowing like I'm comparing it to a season of TV that I really loved in the Traitors UK, and it's going to be hard to match that. And this season is very fun to watch, but in a very different way than the Traitors UK was fun to watch. It's just a very different. It's just like we're watching mess here and we're watching like fun, tense gameplay in the UK. It's just very different. And I'm having a good time with this, but it's just hard to root for anybody else but Suri because it just feels like unless something catastrophic happens, we have 2 episodes left. Any
Suri
closing
is
thoughts?
Suri's
Yeah.
doing what a lot of others can't. And I feel like we see this in sports a lot when you like play down to the team that you're playing against. Like when
Yes.
a good team plays a close game against a bad team, you're like, how the hell did we get here? Suri never does. Suri is just on her level at all times. And it is up to everybody else to meet her because she's never
Yeah.
going to, like, I shouldn't say never, but the chance that she messes up is like little to none.
Yes. And she is by far the most experienced in this cast. I mean, she's been playing reality TV. When was her first season? I mean, I don't even know what year that was, but it was a very long time ago that she first played Survivor, and she's played 4 times. She played Snake in the Grass. I don't know if she's been on some other stuff, but she's just by far the most experienced strategist outside. I mean, you know, Rachel Riley's done a lot of TV, but I still feel like Suri's reality TV experience is more rich than Rachel's and Cody's. And it just yeah, I don't know. She's the master. What can she's amazing at this. She has an unfair advantage just because she is who she is. I would love to see this season with Suri as a faithful and see if she would be able to sleuth out who the traitors are. That would be very interesting to me, and I think we would see a very different game from Suri. And I would love to see how she would play that based on very little information.
I think she would have been murdered pretty quickly
I
I think
agree.
you're right. Unfortunately.
because I don't think Suri puts herself in a place like a Rachel or a Kate where she is attracting too much attention that it's like, oh, we have to keep her because they'll keep focusing on her. I think it's like she's too good. She's too smart. She's
Yeah.
got to go.
Yeah, and that was
But
my
that-
concern. If she was not a traitor, this season that the traitors would get rid of her very early.
I do think that would have changed, though, the trajectory of the gameplay because how many of our murders were like, let's just kill this person because they have little to no impact on what's going on. So there's no like patterns, trails, sense that these people can pick up on. Instead, it's like, oh, Angelica's gone. Okay. Like versus Suri, it's like, okay, well, clearly she was onto someone.
Yeah,
Who?
Yeah.
So I think that it definitely would have changed the style of play for sure.
for sure.
And that's like what's frustrating, right? I feel like what we've talked about this whole podcast. It's like the moment someone says anything logical, they get banished. Not even murdered, they get banished.
Banished,
So
yeah.
it's just been very, you hit it on Danielle Carey. That's like, it's just been really annoying to see like the people, they're taking the logical people are taking themselves out. Like there's no, just the gameplay just been annoying.
Yeah. Well, we have 2 episodes left. We will be talking about them on Thursday. We will not be here tomorrow. We will talk about them Thursday. I think we're going to have Isaiah with us, which will be fun. I know he has a lot of thoughts about the season as a whole, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say, especially about the finale. Let's see if he could defend his boy, Cody Calafiore, who he had as his winner pick. So that'll be a lot of fun. Any closing thoughts, or should we kick off on where to find you guys?
Kick us off. I want to go watch the last 2 episodes.
All right, Carrie, where can people find you while you are watching those last 2 episodes?
I am at KGD26 on all the social media. So find me, and I don't know, message me all of your angry thoughts, all of your disagreements with what I say. Otherwise, I'm podcasting about Real Housewives with Katie. I am podcasting about The Challenge with Katie. And coming up this Sunday night, we will be recapping our the season of The Circle. I'll be with Alex and Josie. So Alex is aka Nate from last season of The Circle. So we'll be having a conversation about that on Sunday night.
Awesome. That's a lot of fun. Javier, where can people find you? And Adrian just asked about a draft update. I will do that quickly and share it.
So everyone, you guys can find me at _ the Starboy. I'll be there tweeting about all my favorite shows. Catch me on Thursday so I can talk about the death of my draft, because I don't see how Stephanie and Christian make this out unscathed these next 2 episodes. Which makes me very sad, because I thought I was doing so well up until Christian ruined it all. Christian literally ruined it all.
Yeah. Rough go for Christian and for your draft based on Christian's terrible decisions. You can find me on Twitter at RealSimKatie. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSimKatie with an underscore at the end. You can also find me all over the place on Silent Podcasts. I was on the Big Brother 11 recap with Isaiah and Josiane last night, which was a lot of fun. That season is a mess, and we get into all the mess on the episode from last night, so check that out. It's on YouTube and Twitch. You can also, of course, find us here on Sign the Traitors. We'll be back on Thursday with our finale. And as Carrie mentioned, you can find us on The Cool Water Show talking Housewives. You can find us on TJ Hates Quitters talking about The Challenge. And you can find me on the first 2 episodes of the Pressure Cooker recap. If you're not watching that on Netflix, you definitely should. It's a lot of fun. It's like Top Chef meets Big Brother. It's a good binge. It's light and easy, a little different than this show, so but still a lot of fun. So check that out if you haven't, and then listen to our coverage. And then before we fully close you out, I will share my screen and we will talk really quickly about the draft. We'll go ahead and we'll update it to be accurate.
Still alive, baby.
Yes. Okay, so let's check in on Josh's draft picks. We have Rachel, who was banished. We have Angelica, who was banished. So right now Josh only has Ari. Yes, thank you very much. She was murdered. We have Josh. So Josh has Ari, last man standing. Kate and Andy are my 2, still going strong. Well, strong, we'll use that term loosely. Isaiah, last time we spoke, had his full draft team here. So Ryan Lochte was murdered since the last time we updated this. Shelby was banished. Cody was banished. So he only has Quentin left standing. Quentin going strong. Javier was coming in strong with his. I mean, Amanda, I guess we could put her in banished, or she was murdered by the show itself. I mean, I don't really know, but she banished herself. And Kyle was banished. So you still have Christian and Stephanie.
We know she didn't banish herself because Kate tried and they wouldn't let her. So
true.
I think we have to put her in murder.
Yeah. She gets her own little category. So this is where we stand. Carrie still holding strong with Suri. Suri is her one and only. Isaiah has Quentin as his one and only. So good luck to you, Isaiah. Not sure how that's going to work out for you. I'm with Kate and Andy, which I'm kind of in the same boat with Isaiah here. Javier, you still have Christian. Things could go well for Christian. Maybe. We don't know. And Josh has Ari. So you guys are in the best position if we think that the Traitors have been outplaying these faithfuls this whole time. So I think Isaiah and I are down bad here.
Yeah. I think Carrie and Josh are going to win this draft, unfortunately for me.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a joint draft winner. Maybe we'll have a 3-way draft winner. You never know.
And Matt, oh my God, I will lose my mind. Guys, if I'm just going to say this right now on the podcast, I'm going to get like twirlers and everything and like a little kazoo if somehow I will be celebrating Christian's win. I'm going to say it right now. If Christian somehow wins this game, guys, I'm throwing a party for Christian, and I don't care what anyone says, no matter how annoying he's been, because that will be insanity.
That truly, I would say I would support it 100%, especially after this episode.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. And yes, agreed. Adrian said, ironic that Ari and Suri were the last picks on the 4th round of the draft, which truly still can't believe that we let Suri fall this far. But I was blinded by Bravo. I'm a Bravo fan through and through over any of these other shows. So I had to go with my girl. And she's still here. She's still kicking. So, all right. You can find us at Silent Podcasts. anywhere you listen to your podcast, just search us, Silent Podcast. We will come up. So subscribe to us there if you want to listen to our audio feeds of all of this content. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch if you want to watch along with like 85%, 70% ish of everything that we record. We do a lot of it live. So the videos are there for you to check out. You can find us on Twitter at silent_podcasts if you would like to follow along with what we are up to and when we're going to go live. And leave us a rating or a review on anywhere you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple. It really helps us out, especially if it's a 5-star. We appreciate it if it's a 4-star, but we really would prefer a 5-star. So like you can only do it once. So let's just like hold off and wait until you have something that's 5 stars to say, or that you hear something that's 5 stars and you want to talk about it. We would really appreciate it. It helps us get discovered. Until then, we'll be back on Thursday with the finale. I can't believe it's over. I feel like we've been talking about the show every single day, and then we're gonna have nothing else to talk about. It's gonna be wild. So we'll see you there Thursday night. And until then, have a great night or day or whenever you're listening to this. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.